Okay, so let's start with a super quick revision of a new chapter, that is exemptions from GST. Big chapter, nice chapter, many things to be remembered. Yes, but please do not, when I talk about exemptions from GST chapter, please do not by heart things from this chapter. Okay, you need not by heart it one by one, but read it 2 to 3 times. You will be very much familiar with the exemptions, and when you see that particular term or when you see that particular transaction, it will automatically click to you, okay, yes, we had studied this in exemptions and this is going to be exempt from GST. Okay, if you take that burden of by hearting this, then it will become very cumbersome, and that is not advisable. Okay, chalo, now let's start with exemptions from GST. Okay, now in the previous chapters we have already studied the different types of supply. Do you recollect? One type of supply was taxable supply, another type of supply was exempt supply. Within exempt supply we had three bifurcation. First one was nil rated. Second one was your wholly exempt from tax by way of an exemption notification, and third one was non-taxable supplies, just like your petrol, diesel earlier, right? Petrol, diesel, and all those products. 1+5, 1+6 products, whatever we had studied there. So now in this particular chapter, we are going to talk about the second type, that is the transactions which are exempted from GST. Supply of those goods and services which are exempted from GST by way of an exemption notification. Okay, now the power has been given. The power has been given to the government to bring such exemptions by way of section number 11 of the CGST Act and correspondingly section number 6 of the IGST Act. So in these two sections, they have given the powers that, okay, if the government wants to exempt any goods or services from tax, either wholly or partially, either conditionally or unconditionally, the government, central government can do the same. Okay. Then after that, now going on to the main provisions of the chapter, we are going to have two parts under exemptions. One is goods are going to be exempted from GST. Another one is services are going to be exempt from GST. Goods we do not have wholly in our syllabus. They have just given some examples of some goods which are going to be exempt from GST. For services, yes, detailed, everything given in the notification. Okay, everything given in the notification is applicable for our syllabus. Okay, let's see about the goods first. First of all, they are telling that any such goods which are used in day-to-day activities and which are used by common man, those items will be totally exempted from GST. Example, unbranded atta is there, besan is there, maida is there, fruits are there, normal unpacked fruits are there, then your vegetables are there, egg is there, curds, milk, etc. On these items, these are required by every person. So on these items, GST will be totally exempted. So they have just given some examples of that. We do not have the exact list of goods on which GST is totally exempted. Okay, now coming on to the services. This first one was about the goods. Now we are talking about the services. They have given us some specific services on which GST will be totally exempted. This exemption they have brought it by way of a notification. I'll just highlight the notification number for you. It is notification number 12/2017, Central Tax Rate, dated 28 June 2017, and notification 9/2017 for the IGST. These notification numbers, these two notification numbers have exempted many services from the purview of GST, that is from CGST also as well as from IGST also. So whatever we are studying here, okay, we have divided the services into total 16 parts. So whatever we have done here, these are exempted from your CGST also, and these are exempted from your IGST also, and respective states have also exempted the tax on these particular services. Yes, I hope we are clear till here. Can we start ahead, everyone? Yes. Now, services related to charitable and religious activity. First service. Okay, everything relating to charitable we have put under a single heading. Okay, now first entry is, now suppose if there is an entity, there is a charitable and religious trust which is registered. You must have studied under your income tax also. If it is registered under section 12AA or 12AB of the Income Tax Act, any services provided by such entities or such trust or institution by way of charitable activities, charitable and religious trust providing certain charitable activities, that will be totally exempted from GST. Ma'am, which are those activities? We are going to divide it into 4 points. Can you see I am circling few points? These are broadly divided into 4 points. First one is if they are providing any service in the form of public health. Okay, public health in two ways. First one is care and counseling of certain category of person, and second one is public awareness about prevention of HIV infection, preventive health checkup, then your family planning, etc. If they are providing such services, and for that if they are charging any consideration, then on that consideration GST will be totally exempted. Secondly, it is public health, which is given by way of care or counseling of whom? Of ill persons, the people who are medically ill, or the people who are having some physical disability, or the people who are having some mental disability, or any such person who are affected by HIV or AIDS, or any particular person who are addicted to narcotic drugs or similar substances, or your alcohol, etc. If we are providing them care or counseling, or if we are doing public awareness about preventive health, about family planning, about HIV, AIDS infection, etc., then such services will be totally exempted from GST. This was the first charitable activity which was provided by such entity. Second one is, if we are doing any such activity where we are doing advancement of any religion, yoga or spirituality, like your meditation camps, yoga camps, etc., that will be totally exempted from GST. Then after that, advancement of some educational programs or skill development. Okay, we are conducting some educational program, or we are conducting some skill development related programs. For whom? For homeless children, for abandoned children, for some traumatized persons who are mentally abused, physically abused, such persons, or for prisoners, or the next one is very, very important, or for any person who is over the age of 65 years but who is residing in a rural area. Means we can generally say it like, for senior citizens who are staying in rural area, if we are doing some education programs for them, or we are doing some skill development programs, maybe we are providing them this coaching, okay, skill development or educational programs, and we are charging some nominal consideration from them. On that consideration, GST will be totally exempted. Okay, please be careful with this rural area point. And the last one is the charitable trust or institution is doing some charitable activity in relation to preservation of our environment, like watersheds, forest, wildlife, etc. We are doing some activity which is leading to preservation of our environment. So even that will be considered as a specific charitable activity, and on this charitable activity also GST is going to be totally exempted, because they have specifically notified that in the exemption notification. I hope I am very, very clear. Yes, this was one particular entry under your charitable trust. Next one, suppose if now we are going to have some points relating to charitable, some can not be related to charitable also. Just try to understand. Let's say there is any particular service which is provided by any person, and he is conducting some religious ceremony. Okay, just like Pandit is there, Bhattaji is there, priest, etc. is there. These people are conducting some religious ceremony. Okay, maybe there is a birth of a new child and he is doing all those ceremony, or on marriage occasion we have Pandit ji, etc., who is doing all these ceremonies, etc. So any services provided by them, is also totally exempted from GST. Acha, next one is very, very important. Yes, now let's say there is a particular religious place. Okay, there is a particular religious place like a temple or something like that, and besides that particular temple, okay, the area of the temple, like this is a particular area, in center we have got the temple, and the area around it, the precincts. Okay, see the term that they are using, the precincts of a religious place. That religious place was definitely meant for the general public, people can come, etc. And this place was owned either by some charitable and religious trust registered under section 12AA or 12AB of the Income Tax Act, or it is registered under the name of some trust or any institution, any notified trust or institution under section 1023C of the Income Tax Act or 1023BBA of the Income Tax Act. Means it is the land or the religious place is belonging to some particular notified trust or institution. And now what they are doing is, the temple is situated in between a particular place, and around that temple they have made some rooms, that if there are some pilgrims who are coming from far away, they can stay there. Room facility is given to them. Okay, then mandapam is there, kalyan mandapam, or community halls are made so that if anyone wants to conduct a ceremony there, they can conduct a ceremony. And also there are some commercial shops in that particular premises. So can we say that trust or the institution will give this on rent to the public? Yes. So now they are telling that this services of giving on rent, not the religious place but the presence of the religious place, giving on rent is also exempt from GST, but it is conditional. Okay, how are they telling that it is conditional? Now, renting of rooms, if the charges are 1000 or more, okay, if the charges are 1000 or more per day, then in that case it will be taxable. Means only if it is less than rupees 1000, only then it is going to be exempted. Similarly, if there is any community hall, or let's say if there is any kalyan mandapam, or let's say there is any open area which we have given on rent to any particular person, and if the charges are more than or equal to 10,000 per day, okay, charges are more than or equal to 10,000 per day, then it will become fully taxable. Okay, if the charges are, let's say, 10,500 rupees, then GST will be applicable on entire 10,500. Exemption will be available if this renting amount is less than rupees 10,000 per day. And similarly, if there are some shops, okay, you must have seen in many religious places where you go near the temple itself, there are so many shops who are selling some goods, some items, etc. So if we have given the shops on rent, and if the charges are 10,000 or more per month, these are shops now, so this will not be given on rent for per day basis. So if it has been given on rent and the charges are 10,000 or more per month, then it will become taxable. If the charges are lesser than this, okay, lesser than 1,000 rupees per day, lesser than 10,000 rupees per day, lesser than 10,000 rupees per month, then in that case this renting activity will also be totally exempted. Are you clear till here? Yes. Then after that, going on to the next entry, that is entry number 60. Entry number 60 is very, very simple. Entry number 60 says that if there is some services provided by certain organizations, okay, certain organizations, in this certain organizations, there are only two organizations which have been notified. One is KMVN, that is Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited, a government of Uttarakhand, okay, a government of Uttarakhand undertaking which takes us for Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, okay, and the second one is Hajj committee which takes people for religious pilgrimage to Mecca, okay, Mecca. So if these organizations, what they do, they organize pilgrimage tours to the respective places, and they charge consideration for that, and whatever consideration they charge on that, GST will be totally accepted. Okay, see what is written here: services by a specified organization in respect of religious pilgrimage facilitated by a government of India under bilateral agreement. Okay, specified organizations are whom here? Specified organizations are Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited, and second one is Hajj Committee of India or State Hajj Committee of India. If these people are organizing any religious pilgrimage, ठीक है, वो लोग लेके जा रहे हैं आपको या तो कैलाश मानसरोवर की यात्रा पे लेके जा रहे हैं, या फिर आपको मेक्का के पिलग्रिमेज के लिए लेके जा रहे हैं, तो फिर उसके ऊपर GST will be totally exempted. I hope this much is clear. ठीक है. Then after that, going to the next one, entry number 80. What is entry number 80 talking about? Services by way of training or coaching. ठीक है, someone is giving us training or coaching in some recreational activities. Recreational activities में उन्होंने specify कर दिया something relating to arts or culture. Okay, something relating to arts or culture. इससे relating, okay, dance etc. will come under culture. So if someone is providing you training or coaching in arts or culture, and if that is given by an individual person, okay, there is an individual teacher, means there is no company, there is no firm etc. There is an individual teacher who is teaching you arts or culture. So whatever consideration the teacher is going to charge from you on that, GST is going to be exempted. And similarly, if sports is taught to you by some charitable entity, okay, sports academies, if that particular sports academy is run by some charitable entity, then even then the GST is going to be exempted. So if sports is going to be taught to you by any individual person, by a company etc., means academy which is in the form of company etc., then it will be fully taxable. But if sports is taught to you by charitable entity, then in that case GST will be totally exempt. Okay, so training or coaching, we can divide it this way: arts or culture. Okay, arts or culture, if taught to you by an individual person, it will be totally exempted. And sports, if it is taught to us by any charitable entity, then it is going to be totally exempted. I hope you are very, very clear with the first entry, everyone. Yes, here we have tried to cover everything from which has some or the other relation with some charitable institute. Yes. Now, apart from this, okay, apart from the entries that we have done, any other services which are provided by any charitable or religious trust, all those services will be totally taxable, because whatever we are studying, only these are exempted. Apart from this, everything is going to be taxable. Yes. And one more thing we had studied about charitable entities, if you can recollect, we had done it in second or the third chapter. I think in second chapter, when we were doing consideration part, we had done there. If there is a charitable trust which is receiving something in the form of donation, okay, donation without anything in return, where the charitable trust was not supposed to do anything in return, that will be totally exempt from tax, because that is not at all considered as a supply, because there is no consideration involved. Okay, but do you recollect, if we give some donation to the charitable trust, and the charitable trust in return puts our advertisement on a banner, etc., yes, then it was considered as an advertisement service given in return as a consideration. On that, GST was applicable. Yes, I hope you can recollect the and correlate the pointers now. Let's go to the next service. Next service is a very simple service but very important service, which talks about agricultural related services. Here the most important entry is going to be entry number 54. And yes, one more thing which I would like to add here is, you need not remember the entry number. Okay, even if you're not quoting the entry number in the exam, that is absolutely all right. Let's start with the first one, entry number 54. Entry number 54, here we are going to discuss about agriculture related services. Now let's say if there is any service relating to cultivation of plants or rearing of any life forms of animals, except horses, because horses is considered, or rearing of horses is considered as, and the person who's owning the horses is considered as a luxury thing. So cultivation of plants and rearing of life forms except for horses. For why do we do cultivation of plants and rearing of animals? For food, fiber, raw material, or other similar products, or agricultural produce, okay, or agricultural produce by way of agricultural operations, okay, agricultural operations relating to production of any agricultural produce, including cultivation, harvesting, threshing, plant protection, or testing. That is, if we are providing any such services, if we are providing the services of cultivation, if we are providing the services of harvesting, threshing, plant protection, testing, etc., and everything is relating to the agricultural produce, okay, if it is relating to agricultural produce, then in that case it will be totally exempted. If we are providing farm labor, if we are providing laborers to work on the farm, for that we are going to get the consideration. On that also GST is exempted. Then any other processes which are carried out at the agricultural farm itself, because of which the final product, the characteristic of the final product is not going to change. Okay, it is not going to change. Example: cutting, tending, pruning, harvesting, drying, cleaning, trimming, fumigating, curing, etc. If we are providing the service of doing any of such processes, but at agricultural farm itself, and because of which the essential characteristic of the agriculture produce does not change, it is just that it becomes marketable for the final market. Example: let's say potato. Okay, potato is an agriculture produce. You are plucking the potato and after that cleaning the potato on the farm itself, then such cleaning services will be totally exempt from GST. But then you are cutting the potato and then you are converting into potato chips. Here the essential characteristic of the product is changing, so that will not be covered here, so that will become taxable. Then similarly, renting or leasing of agro machinery. Agro machinery means agricultural machinery, like cutting machinery, or maybe water irrigation kind of a facility or a machinery. If we have given this on rent, okay, if we have given this on rent, or if we have given any vacant land on rent which is going to be used for agricultural purposes, we are going to get the rent in return. On that rent we are not supposed to collect any GST, because it is totally exempted. Similarly, loading, unloading, okay, loading, putting into the truck or any such vehicle, unloading, getting out of it, packing, storage or warehousing of agricultural produce. Okay, agriculture produce is very, very important. Okay, example, if I tell you rice, okay, rice is not an agriculture produce. You have already studied, you must be knowing about it. Paddy will be considered as an agriculture produce. Then paddy goes to the mill. In the mill, the milling happens, and after that it is converted into rice. So when we say paddy, yes, it will be considered as an agriculture produce. Potato, yes, agriculture produce. Tomatoes, yes, agricultural produce. Okay, so loading, unloading, packing, storage, warehousing of agriculture produce will be totally exempt from GST. Then agricultural extension services. Agricultural extension services is nothing but knowledge sharing services. Like example, let's say I'm providing some technical know-how to the farmers that how to protect your this agriculture produce from insects, from pesticides, by using pesticides and all those things. So I'm sharing knowledge with the farmers, okay, which can help the farmers to protect their agriculture produce. So if I'm providing such services, even these services will be totally exempt from GST. Similarly, services by APMC, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee, services by APMC, Agriculture APMC. You must have heard about APMC. Generally, in every big city or every state, there is a APMC. That is a mandi, okay, which we call in Hindi. It is a mandi where the farmers can come and they can sell their produce. Okay, that can be sold in wholesale also, that can be sold in retail also. So it is basically a service which is provided by APMC, by the Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee, to the farmers, to the sellers, that okay, we will provide you some place, we will provide you light facility and all those things. So these services provided by APMC also charges from the farmers if you want to come and sell there. So on those charges also there will be no GST applicable. So these 7 services, okay, these 7 services, if it is incurred, if these 7 expenses which are incurred or any services which are provided in relation to these 7 pointers, this will be totally exempt from GST. Okay, please be careful with the term called as agricultural produce. Okay, anything relating to agriculture produce, it can be either if you're providing the service of agriculture operations, if you're providing the service of farm labor, you're providing farmers, okay, you're providing laborers who can come to your farm and who can do the farming, etc. If you are doing any process at the agricultural farm itself, okay, if you're renting any agricultural machinery or any vacant land, then even that is exempt from GST. Loading, unloading, packing, storage or warehouse of agriculture produce is totally exempt from GST. Agriculture extension services, any services provided by APMC, all these services are totally exempt from GST. Okay, then after that, going to the next one, next entry. Okay, everything that we did till now, that was covered in entry number 54, which was the most important entry in our agriculture related services. Now going on to the next one, entry number 55. Entry number 55 talks about some intermediate production process. Okay, intermediate production process as job worker. Now if we are providing any services as a job worker, remember we had studied one of the service where we discussed about carrying out agriculture operations at the agricultural farm itself, like cleaning of potato, drying, trimming, sun drying, fumigating, etc. Those processes we had, we had availed those services from someone who was providing us those services at the agricultural farm itself. Okay, now let's say we are giving our agricultural produce to a job worker and we are telling the job worker, please do so and so activities on our agriculture produce and please give it back to us. So if there is a job worker, if we are providing our produce to a job worker and we are telling him, can you please do so and so activities on our products and can you please give it back to us? If he does any work, if any particular person does any work as a job worker, can we say he will charge some amount? On that amount GST will be totally exempted, but provided these activities, this intermediate production process should also be in relation to cultivation of plants, rearing of all life forms of animals except for horses, okay, or agricultural produce. Then similarly, now next entry is very, very important. Now we had studied a point about loading, unloading, packing, storage or warehousing of agricultural produce. Okay, in that agricultural produce, was rice included or rice was not included? Rice was not included. So they said that okay, paddy was included there, but sir, the rice people, the people who were dealing into rice, they also made a request to the government that sir, we also need, even if you are not allowing miling of paddy into rice, okay, miling of paddy into rice, if you are not allowing exemption on that, then at least allow exemption on such some activities. So what they did was loading, unloading, packing, storage or warehousing of rice specifically was exempted by a separate entry. Okay, then after that, entry number 24A and entry number 24B. What is it talking about? 24A and 24B. 24A is very simple. It is talking about warehousing of minor forest produce. Okay, minor forest produce means like leaves, flowers, fruits, which we have brought it from the forest, which we have plucked it from the forest, etc. And if we are providing warehousing of those produce, then warehousing of that will be totally exempted from GST. Similarly, storage or warehousing of cereals, pulses, fruits, vegetables, even this will be exempted from GST. So can we say warehousing of agriculture produce, warehousing of rice, warehousing of minor forest produce, and warehousing of cereals, pulses, fruits and vegetables, even this is going to be exempted from GST. Okay, then after that, next entry talks about artificial insemination of livestock other than horses. That is the way of a reproduction method. Okay, artificial reproduction method, like we inject something in that particular livestock so that it can give birth to more animals. So artificially making, artificial method of reproduction, not of horses, let's say of cattle, cows, buffaloes, etc. So if someone is providing these services, then even that is exempted from GST. Next one is a little different one. Services by way of preconditioning, pre-cooling, ripening, waxing, retail packing and labeling. Okay, waxing you must have seen in case of apples, etc. There is always a wax coating on the apples to make it more red, etc. Then on many fruits there is a label, there is a sticker put. If someone is providing the services of, you know, preconditioning, then cooling, then ripening, maybe we have plugged it unripe, and after that by artificially we are making that product ready for eating it, waxing, or any such services provided in relation to fruits and vegetables, but because of that characteristic of the product is not going to change. Earlier also it was called as apple, now also it is going to be called as apple only. If anyone is providing such services of cooling, ripening, waxing, etc., even those will be exempted from GST. Okay, then next entry is, let's say government is having some resources, okay, some area, some land under its control, and government is giving us the right. Okay, government is assigning us some right, assigning the right to an individual farmer. That government is telling to that individual farmer, okay, you can use these natural resources for cultivation of plants and rearing of all life form of animals except horses or other similar products. Means government is allowing you to use its place, okay, government's place, to do some cultivation, to do some agricultural activities there. So can we say government is going to charge some royalty, or government is going to charge some consideration on that? On that GST will be totally exempted. Then next one, entry number 10A, which talks about services supplied by electricity distribution utility. Okay, now let's say every state or every city has got its own electricity distribution utility. So, you know what happened? Let's say there is an electricity company. Now, along with production of electricity, its next work is to do transmission of electricity, to send electricity and to distribute electricity in various places. So electricity distribution utility has provided electricity, up to a particular point. Okay, but let's say my farming land is here and my tube well is situated here. Okay, my land, agricultural land is here. I will also need electricity at my agricultural land. Okay, but let's say the electricity distribution utility, the company which is distributing the electricity, it is situated here. From here, it has distributed electricity till a particular point. But my farm is still far away from that. So can I say I will have to extend the electricity from this point till my tube well? Okay, so I will tell the electricity distribution utility, sir, please extend the electricity till my land. So services provided by electricity distribution utility of extending the electricity connection till the tube well of the farmer, even that will be totally exempted from GST. Because why? Because this electricity is going to be used. This is going to be used for agricultural purposes, right? And the last one says services provided by NCCD, National Center for Cold Chain Development. Okay, National Center for Cold Chain Development. If they are providing any services by way of distributing knowledge, or sharing knowledge relating to cold chain facility. Now there are almost all the fruits and vegetables, they require cold storage, otherwise they get spoiled. Okay, so now listen, now you must have heard now, we get to eat Himalayan apples, we get to eat Kashmiri apples. Does it mean that it was plucked yesterday and today we have got it in our fruit market? No. Can we say it was plucked some months back? Okay, then after that they have stored it in cold storage, etc., and then it comes to our stores. So in between, can we say the services were provided by cold storage companies? Cold storage companies. Now, can we say every fruit, every vegetable, everything will require different temperatures. Some will be required to store at 0 degrees, some will be required to store at 14 degrees, some will be required to store at -degree, etc. So this ministry, okay, under this Ministry of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, there is a body called as NCCCD, which shares knowledge about cold storage. Okay, it shares knowledge about cold storage with the farmers, etc. For that, the NCCCD will charge some consideration. On that consideration, GST will be totally exempted. Okay, just like we discussed about agriculture extension services. Okay, similarly, just relating to cold storage, there is a service which is provided by NCCCD. Even that will be totally exempted from GST. I hope you are very clear till here. Yes, 2 entries. Okay, 2 entries are totally done. Let's continue with the next type of service. Next is your educational services. Very important from your exam point of view. In education services, let's do the first entry, that is entry number 66, which is very crucial. We are going to divide this entry number 66 into 2 parts. Okay, one is an output service by an educational institution, and second one is going to be an input service by the educational institution. What do you mean by this? Output service by an education institution means services which are provided by an education institution, and input services of an education institution means the services which education institution has taken from someone. Okay, now before we get into this services provided by educational institution and services provided to educational institution, before we get into it, let's try to understand first, and let's try to recollect first the meaning of the term called as educational institution. We will divide it into 3 types. Okay, type 1, type 2 and type 3. First type of educational institution is starting from your preschool. Okay, preschool is also going to include your Anganwadis, etc. Preschool education and education up to higher secondary school or equivalent. So preschool to higher secondary, or we can say up to 12th standard, all your schools, etc., which goes up to 12th standard, that will be considered as the type 1 educational institution. Second one is just like your college, institutes, etc. That is any such educational institution which is providing education as a part of curriculum for obtaining a qualification, recognized by any law for the time being in force. Education as a part of curriculum for obtaining any qualification. Okay, we are obtaining any degree which is recognized by any law. It can be called as engineering degree also, it can be called as your graduation degree also, or it can also be called as our CA degree, CS degree, lawyer degree, etc. Okay, so those institutions which provide such types of educational qualification, those will be considered as type 2 educational institution. And third type 3, is any such educational institution which is providing education as a part of an approved vocational educational course. Okay, vocational educational course by which you get a skill. Okay, generally these are certificate courses, etc., where they try to enhance your skill in, let's say, it can be tailoring, that is, it can be stitching, it can be repairing of mobile phones, or any such courses which will require some skill. So any such vocational institute which is providing such vocational courses will be considered as our type 3 educational institution. Type 1 was up to 12th standard. Type 2 is your colleges or any particular institution which is providing any degree, which is providing any qualification which is recognized by any law for the timing in force. And type 3 is any such institution which is providing any vocational courses, approved vocational courses. Those will be considered as your type 3 educational institution. Always remember, your private coaching, etc., will never come under educational institution. Right? Okay, then after that, going on to the next very important part. Okay, very important part about your educational services, educational institution services, which are exempted from GST. Let's try to understand that. Now, services provided by, okay, means these are provided by the above educational institution. If there are any services which are provided by educational institutions to three people, to its students, to its faculty, and to its staff. Okay, let's say the education institution is providing educational services to its students, fully exempted from GST. It is providing any service to its faculty. Let's say it is providing training services to its faculty, that how to teach to students. Even that is totally exempt from GST. And let's say it is also providing some certificate courses to its staff, or it is providing some sort of training to its staff, even that will be totally exempt from GST, because educational institutions, okay, any services provided by educational institution to its students, faculty, and staff, this will be totally exempted from GST. And one more thing, this was a newly added point some time back, but this is important. Any services provided by an educational institution by way of conduct of entrance examination against consideration, which is in the form of entrance fee, means educational institution is providing conducting of examination, means educational institution is conducting some entrance examination. For that, it is charging some consideration. Okay, even that will be totally exempted from GST. So only these two services which are provided by education institution will be totally exempted from GST. Right now, if there is some other person who is providing some services to educational institution, means it is an input service, it is an inward service for the educational institution, then these services will be totally exempted. Okay, now which are those services? This is very, very crucial. Please try to understand this. Now, any services provided to an educational institution by way of transportation of students, faculty, and staff. Now, let's say educational institution wanted to provide transportation of students facility to its students, that is pick up and drop from school to school, etc., from home to school, etc. For that, educational institution has taken this service from a van uncle, or the educational institution has taken a service from a bus uncle, bus driver uncle, etc. Then in such cases, the bus driver uncle, can we say it is providing service to the educational institution? So this service will be totally exempt. This one. See, anything which is provided by educational institution to its students is anyway exempted. Similarly, if there is any transportation services provided by any person to the educational institution, even that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, but now this will be exempted only for which educational institution? This will be exempted only for type 1 educational institution. Type 1 means up to higher secondary school. It is exempted only for them. Okay, so if we are availing any transportation services and we are providing to our vocational course students, then in that case, such service will not be exempted. Okay, means it is provided by any vocational institute to its students, then it will not be then this inward service will not be exempted. Okay, so transportation of students, faculty, and staff, if we have taken this service from any transportation company for type 1 educational institution, it will be totally exempted from GST. Same way, if we have taken catering service, including any midday meal sponsored by the government, okay, catering service, let's say a school is there. In the school, we want to start a canteen. Okay, now school does not have its own canteen, so we can take service from any outside caterer also. Now, if that caterer is providing service to a type 1 educational institution, okay, only for type 1 educational institution, then it will be totally exempt from GST. Means caterer will just charge the value of the food from us. He cannot charge GST along with the same. Then this is done. The next one is important. If we have taken any security services, or if we have taken any cleaning services, or if we have taken any housekeeping services, if we have availed, let's say we have taken services for cleaning our school premises, for cleaning our for as a watchman service, if we have taken from any person, or if we have availed any housekeeping services which is to be performed in such educational institution only, for doing some activity in that educational institution only and not outside the educational institution, if these services have been availed by type 1 educational institution, then it will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, or whatever inward services that we have studied till now, this exemption will be available only for type 1 educational institution. Then next one, see the next one is also very nice point, because this one is applicable for all types of educational institution. First one, services relating to admission to or conduct of examination by such institution. Okay, now let's say there is an educational institution which wants to conduct some examination. Can we say conducting of examination in lieu of entrance fee? This is anyway going to be exempted. Yes, for that educational institution is incurring some expenses. Example, printing of paper, printing of hall ticket, making seating arrangements, etc. For that, if it has taken services from any particular person, those input services will always be exempted from GST, be it any type of educational institution, be it any three types of educational institution. Okay, so output service of conducting the examination is also exempted. Any services relating to inward services relating to conduct of examination, even that will be totally exempted from GST. And the last one is supply of online education journals. Okay, supply of online education journals or periodicals. You must have seen, na? Journals are there, magazines kind of a thing are there, in which updates etc. are there. ICA also gives periodicals or journals to its students, etc. So if we have taken this service from any particular person for doing supply of journals, means there is a particular company who is going to make journal for my educational institution so that we can give it to our students. So this inward supply is also going to be exempt from GST, provided it is only for type 3. Okay, provided it is only for just make this type 2, provided it is only for type 2, that is any university or any college, which is providing any qualification which is recognized by law. If those people are taking any such services of getting the periodicals and journals made for its students, etc., then that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, so if I want to summarize, can we say for type 1, all the first four inward services will be totally exempted from GST. That is transportation, catering, security, cleaning, housekeeping within the premises, and fourth one was any expenses or any services in relation to conduct of examination. That is going to be exempted for your type 1. Okay, then for type 2, one is your fourth point and the next one is your fifth point. That is any services in relation to conduct of examination, and second one was online periodicals. That is for type 2. And the next one is going to be for type 3. For type 3, only the point number 4. For type 3, only point number 4, that is services in relation to conduct of examination. Only such inward services will be exempted from GST. Are you clear till here? Yes. So, two outward services. Okay, two outward services of the educational institution. First one, any services provided to its students, faculty and staff will be totally exempted from GST. And second one is any services in relation to conduct of examination. Any services in relation to conduct of examination or any services by way of conducting the examination where we are going to get the consideration in form of entrance fee, that will be totally exempt from GST. This is about the outward service of the educational institution. And then we discussed about the 5 inward services of the educational institution that depends on different types. Now we have got some extra points here. Okay, see, in a very elaborate manner it is written in our main notes. Since these are your last day revision notes, so whatever are the important points, I have taken it here. Yes, now listen, in our state boards and central boards, they also conduct the examinations. So central board and they take the board fees from us, or they charge the examination fee from us. So central boards and state educational boards, even they will be considered as examination. They will also be considered as educational institutions for the purpose of conducting the examinations. So if CBSE or let's say state boards, if they are also conducting the examination and if they are charging some board fee from us, on that also GST will be totally exempted. Okay, then after that, similarly, if there is any particular body or if there is any particular board which is set up by the government, including National Testing Agency NTA, for the conduct of entrance examination, if there is any such board established for conduct of any examination, even that will be considered as an educational institution for the purpose of conducting entrance examination. So whatever charges these boards or these national testing agencies taking for conducting the examination, even that will be exempted from GST. Okay, then after that, one very important thing which I wanted to tell you here. Okay, do you recollect the type 3 educational institution? Type 3 educational institution is any such institution which is providing any approved vocational education course, okay, which is providing any approved vocational education course. Now you must have already studied from your main course, main notes. Approved vocational education course means a course which is run by ITI. I don't know if you recollect. It is any course which is run by ITI, Industrial Training Institute or Industrial Training Center. If they are running any courses and if they are offering any courses in some designated trade, okay, designated trade can be anything relating to engineering, it can be anything relating to technology. Example can be carpenter, example can be tailor, example can be plumber, example can be mechanic, example can be a beautician, example can be a painter, etc. Okay, if they are providing, if ITI or ITC is providing any course in designated trades, then it will be considered as a vocational institution. And similarly, a modular employable skill course, I don't know if you recollect, a modular employable skill course with the help, modular employable skill course means what? Once you complete this course, you are eligible to get employment, okay, because you have got those skills and now you can get employed. So such courses are called as approved vocational course. So any course which is provided, any course which is provided by ITI or ITC, ITI or ITC will be considered as the vocational course. Achha, similarly, they are telling that private ITIs, okay, private ITIs will also qualify as educational institution if they are providing the mentioned vocational courses. So not only industrial training institutes, industrial training centers, even the private, the ones which does not have any intervention of the government, even the private ITIs will be considered as an educational institution. Government ITIs, okay, government ITIs. Now government ITIs means services are provided by the government. We will study it later that anyway, any services provided by government to an individual person is going to be exempt from GST. So if there is any government ITI which is providing approved vocational courses, then even that will be totally exempted from GST. This point I have already told you before. Unrecognized educational institution like your private coaching institutes, coaching centers, etc., those will never fall under the definition of the term called as educational institute for the purpose of GST. So if there is any fees which is charged by the private coaching institute, that will always be taxable. Okay, then going on to the next point, that is the IIMs, okay, Indian Institute of Management, etc. Now IIMs are normally considered as educational institution because they are providing a degree. They are type 2 educational institution because they are providing a qualification which is recognized by law. Okay, now the degree which is provided by IIM is recognized by the IIM Act. Okay, so it becomes a type 2 educational institution. If it becomes a type 2 educational institution, any services provided by it to the students, faculty and staff will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, but in many cases, IIMs also provide some short-term courses to the participants. Okay, not to the students but to the participants. That is, you come, maybe you can do this course online for a period of 6 months and then we will grant you a certificate for that. So here the IIM is not providing services to its students, it is providing services to the participants. So that will be fully taxable. Okay, means GST will be applicable on the same. Then after that, going to the next one, fees charged from prospective employers. Okay, now let's say there is a particular college which is providing you graduation degree, and once your graduation is done, after that it is also providing you campus placement services. That is, many big MNCs are going to come to the campus and they are going to recruit the students. So here the college charges from the companies. Okay, college charges fees from the companies because who is providing the placement services? Because the school is providing the opportunity, or not the school but the college is providing the opportunity to the employers that it can get students from the campus. For that it is going to charge a consideration. On that GST is fully taxable because this service is provided by the college to the companies and not college to its students, faculty or staff. right? More 2 points here. In other points, any maritime courses, marine related courses or shipping related courses which are approved by DG Shipping, Director General of Shipping, like marine institutes are there which provides sailing related services, etc., education, sailing related services, training courses, etc. Now even these are recognized by law, so even they will fall under type 2 educational institution, and any services provided by them will also be considered as totally exempted, right? And the last one, okay, now there are certain educational institutions which provide certain services to its students or to its ex-students. Okay, example, we get a school leaving certificate from the educational institution, we get migration certificate, we get domicile certificate, etc. Now these services are provided by the educational institution to its students or to its ex-students. Okay, so even that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, school leaving certificate, domicile certificate, and all those things. So these were your major entries. Okay, these were your major entries, or these were your major transactions under entry number 66, and entry number 66 gets over here. Are you clear till here? Okay, then the last few more entries under your educational system, educational services. See what are they telling? Entry number 22C. Let's say there is an educational institution which wants to provide transportation services to its students. Okay, now education institution has contacted a bus driver uncle that can you please provide transportation services to my kids. So bus driver said that okay, but I don't have my own bus, I will take my bus on hire. Okay, I will take a bus on hire. So can we say there is a fourth party, or there is a fourth party who is going to give the bus on hire to this bus driver? Then bus driver will provide transportation services to the educational institution, and then education institution is going to provide this service to its students. So now here they are telling that if this is a type 1 educational institution, okay, if this is a type 1 educational institution, we had already seen that this transportation service was anyway exempted from GST. Now they are telling plus this hiring of bus, even the transaction before that, taking the bus on hire, means can we say the bus driver will be paying the rentals to this bus owner? Even that will be exempted from GST. See how are they telling us this? Services by way of giving on hire motor vehicle for transportation of students, faculty or staff to a person providing services of transportation of student, faculty or staff to an educational institution. Means we are not giving it directly on hire to the educational institution, we are giving it to such a person who is going to further provide the services to the educational institution. So even this service, this is going to be exempt, even this is going to be exempt, and even this is going to be exempt. Okay, then after that, entry number 69, not really very important, one time read. Okay, or you can just read it twice so that those names get fit in your mind somewhere. Entry number 69 talks about services provided by certain corporations or certain institutions which are generally set up by the government. Which type of institutions they are talking about? National Skill Development Corporation, NSDC, providing some services. Okay, Sector Skill Council, providing any services relating to education. Assessment agency approved by NSDC or SSC, National Skill Development Program, or a vocational skill development course, or any other scheme implemented by NSDC. If these bodies or if these corporations are providing any services, if these are generally in relation to education only, and these bodies or schemes are established by the government, means government comes up with schemes that let's provide education to a particular class of people, or let's provide education relating to a specific skill, okay, let's say relating to AI, which is the upcoming trend, etc. If these organizations or if these corporations are providing any services, then that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, then after that, going to the last 3 points, services of assessing bodies, empaneled centrally by the DGT, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, by way of assessment under Skill Development Initiative Scheme. Okay, now let's say the government wanted to start this scheme called as skill development initiative scheme, means the government wanted to set up some bodies who will do the skill assessment, etc. So any services of assessing bodies, means who are going to check your skills, etc., which is empaneled by the ministry of the government, those services will be totally exempted from GST. So skill development initiative skill development initiative scheme. Any services provided under this particular scheme will be totally exempt from GST. Okay, then entry number 71 and entry number 72. Entry number 71 talks about any services provided by training providers. Okay, there are some teachers, there are some training providers who are providing some training under Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushalya Yojana. DDU-GKY. Okay, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushalya Yojana, which is also a scheme of the government only, where they are going to provide some vocational training under this particular scheme. Just remember the names. Okay, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushalya Yojana. If we are providing any services under this, then it is going to be totally exempted from GST. And the last one, entry number 72, is any such services which is provided by government. Okay, services provided by government under some training program. Government wanted to give some training program to some persons. Okay, and for that, let's say the government has hired me. Okay, government is telling me, Arpita, can you provide this training under government scheme? I said, okay, sir, for this the fees will be 10,000 rupees. Government said, don't worry, 75% expenditure I will bear, 25% expenditure we can charge from the other party. So if at least 75% expenditure is borne by the government, means it is a government sponsored scheme where I am providing the training services, I will get full consideration. 75% I will get it from the government, 25% I am going to get it from the person to whom I am going to provide the training. Then such services provided, such services which I am providing to the government. Okay, I am providing the services to the government, such services will be totally exempted from GST. Are you clear till here? Yes, so here in educational services, your entry number 66 is going to be the most crucial one. Okay, along with that, entry number 22C becomes important. That is this bus taken on hire by a bus driver providing services to this part which I am highlighting. This part is exempted by way of entry number 22C. These two entries, entry number 66 and entry number 22C, become specifically very important. And yes, entry number 72 is also tested many a times, where we are providing the services to the government under some training program where at least 75% of the expenditure is going to be borne by the government. Then it is going to be totally exempted from GST. I hope I am very clear till here. Chalo, then let's go to the next type of service. Next type of service is our healthcare services. Again, important but very simple. In healthcare services, again the first entry, that is entry number 74, is very crucial. Health services means your medical services, hospital services, services given by the doctors, etc. So let's do it by the legal terms now. Any services which are provided by way of healthcare services by three people: by clinical establishment, that is your hospitals, etc., by authorized medical practitioners, that is authorized doctors, legal doctors, etc., or by paramedics, that is by nurses, physiotherapist staff, etc., nursing staff, etc. Any services provided by these three people: clinical establishment, authorized medical practitioner, or paramedics, this will be considered. This will be considered as what? This will be considered as exempt service. So if we go to any particular hospital, any particular doctor for any treatment, whatever charges they are taking from us for medical services, that will be totally exempted. Okay, but please remember, see, whenever there is any whenever any particular patient gets admitted, okay, if there is any particular patient who gets admitted, then he will have to pay for the room charges also. If the room charges exceeds 5,000 per day, okay, if the room charges, means if you have taken a single room, AC room, etc., if the room charges exceed rupees 5,000 per day, then the entire room rent will be liable for GST. If the room rent does not exceed rupees 5,000, if it does not exceed rupees 5,000, then in that case it will be fully exempted. But they have told that any patients who get admitted in ICU, ICCU, ICU, CCU, ICCU and NICU. NICU is for infants, etc. If you get admitted in these critical care units, etc., if they are charging any amount for that ICU, CCU, ICCU, etc., NICU, then it will be totally exempt from GST, because you are anyway critical, so, and you are getting admitted there, so definitely the charges for ICU, etc., will be more. So on that, GST will be totally exempted. Normal room, okay, normal room, if you are getting admitted in, and if the room rent is more than 5,000, then it will be fully taxable. Not the healthcare services, but the room rent. Okay, room rent services will be room rent charges will be totally taxable. This is one particular service under healthcare which is exempted. And second service is if there is any transportation of patient services in any ambulance, it can be by road or it can be air ambulance, etc. Also, any services for transportation of a patient, that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, now ma'am, what do you mean by healthcare services? We had studied here na, services by way of healthcare services. So healthcare services is, you know, any treatment, any diagnosis, any such facility where treatment is provided for any illness, injury, trauma, abnormality, deficiencies, pregnancies, etc. in any recognized system of medicines. Now what do you mean by recognized systems of medicines? So your allopathy, homeopathy, yoga, ayurveda, naturopathy, unani, siddha, etc. these will be considered as recognized systems of medicine. Okay, if you bring some other system of medicine, example Reiki, healing, etc., those are not recognized system of medicines, and any services provided under that will be fully taxable. Right? Acha. Then one more thing that they have given under healthcare services is if someone is doing plastic surgery, or if someone is doing cosmetic surgery, or if someone is doing hair transplant, etc. and if we are doing it just for the purpose of fashion, okay, I want to look good, I want a dimple here, I want a mark here, etc. if I'm doing it for the purpose of fashion, then that is not included in healthcare service, that will be fully taxable. Okay, but let's say if someone has met with an accident and because of that his entire face has been damaged, and to get that repaired, if he is doing plastic surgery, etc., then it will be totally exempted. Okay, let's say if there is a newborn baby born, and at the time of born itself that person is having some defects. Okay, that person is having some defects, that child is having some defects, and for that they are doing some plastic surgery. So that is not done for fashion, that will be exempted from GST. Okay, similarly for your pregnancy, etc., there are IVF treatments, then ART treatments, etc., even that will be exempted from GST. Okay, because that also you are not doing for fashion, okay, that you are doing out of health. So even that will be exempted from GST. Okay, then after that, many a times it happens, you must have seen na, in hospitals there are visiting doctors. Okay, there are some consultants who are not employed with the hospital, but they come on, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday from evening 7:30 to 8:30 or something like that. In that case, we go to a particular hospital to meet a particular doctor. Okay, so let's say hospital is charging 10,000 from us, and that doctor is going to charge 7,500 from the hospital. So GST is going to be exempted on entire 10,000. See, in the pocket of the doctor 7,500 will go, in the pocket of the hospital 2,500 will go. But in both the cases, it is nothing but services provided under healthcare services. So the entire 10,000 that we pay to the hospital, that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, then next point we had already done when we were doing composite supply and mixed supply, section number 8. When we were doing this, if the hospital is providing us healthcare services, that is totally exempt from GST. And if we are inpatients, okay, if we are inpatients, that is if we are admitted in the hospital, then many of the hospitals say that you will have to take the food from the hospital itself. Okay, you will have to take the food from the hospital itself. So hospital provides that food also. Okay, but that does not mean that we have got admitted in the hospital only for having food. Okay, so can we say food supplied along with healthcare services is a composite supply? If it is a composite supply, it will be taxable at the rate of the principal supply. Principal supply was totally exempted, so even here food services will be totally exempted. But food supplied to other OPD patients or to visitors, etc., that will be fully taxable. Right? And the last one, cord blood banks where the umbilical cord of the mother is saved for the children, etc. Services provided by such banks will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, last 2 points here. First, let's do entry number 46. Entry number 46 talks about services by a veterinary clinic. Okay, जो animals वगैरह के clinic होते हैं, जो animals वगैरह को treat करते हैं, the hospitals, the clinics which treat the animals, birds, etc. Services provided by them is also exempted. Means they are telling, अगर human, if we are providing free services, free healthcare, GST free healthcare services to the humans, it should be provided for animals and birds also. That is given under entry number 46. And the last one, that is entry number 74A. Entry number 74A says that if there are some rehabilitation professionals, okay, if there are some services provided by rehabilitation professional, rehabilitation means who gives some therapy, who gives some counseling, this your some people are facing some depression, etc., and they are going for some therapy, etc. So if these are provided at some specific places, okay, if rehabilitation professionals, okay, some rehabilitation professionals are providing these services at medical establishments, that is at hospitals, or if they are providing at educational institution to the students, or if they are providing at some rehabilitation centers set up by the government, or if they are providing in some entity, in some charitable trust or religious trust which is set up under section 12AA or 12AB. Means if I am a rehabilitation professional, if I have that ability to give you some therapy, and I am providing these services at hospitals, at educational institutions, at government centers, or at charitable institutions, and if I'm charging something from the patient, that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, otherwise rehabilitation is not included in your healthcare services. Okay, but separately they have given, if rehabilitation services are provided at these and these specific places, then it will be exempted from GST. Yes, so this was all about your exemption related services. Can we go ahead? Education related and healthcare related services. In the previous point we did about education services, in this point we did about healthcare services, exemption services, exempted services. So let's go to the next service. Next service is very important. Fifth one, services provided by government and some specific bodies. So now here entry number 6 and entry number 7, two entries are going to be there. Entry number 6 you can see here, entry number 7 you can see here, and then I have again given a conclusion for both the entries together. Okay, now entry number 6 says that any services which are provided by 4 people, central government, state government, union territory, local authority, any services provided by government is going to be exempt from tax. Okay, remember relating to this we had discussed about government ITIs in educational services. Government ITIs are nothing but services provided by government. So that will be exempted from tax. Okay, first thing that they have told is all the services provided by government is going to be exempt from GST, but 4 are put in exception. Which 4 services are put in exception? Few of them we have already studied when we were doing reverse charge mechanism chapter. First one is any services by Department of Post and Ministry of Railways. This is not going to be exempted. This is going to be taxable, and that too it is going to be taxable under forward charge. Okay, second one, any services provided in relation to aircraft or vessel. Remember, inside or outside the presence of the port, airport, etc. Any services in relation to aircraft or vessel, even this will be taxable, and that too it will be taxable under forward charge. Remember, this was there under the exception of RCM also. Then next one, transportation. Any services in relation to transportation of goods or passengers provided by the central government, state government, union territory or local authority, even this will be taxable, and that too it will be taxable under forward charge. And next one is a new point here. See what are they telling us here. Any service other than service covered under entry A to C above provided to business entity. Means if government is providing any services to business entity, then it is going to be taxable, and that too it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. So can we say anything other than these 4? Okay, anything other than Department of Post, Ministry of Railway, anything other than in relation to aircraft or vessel, anything in relation to transportation of goods or passengers, or any services provided to business entity. Apart from these 4, every service provided by government is going to be exempted. Okay, if it is exempted, then we don't have to think whether it is RCM or it is FCM. Only if it is taxable, then we have to think whether it is taxable under forward charge or it is taxable under reverse charge. So first 3 will be taxable under forward charge, and any services which are provided to business entity, means we are shifting the burden to the business entity, and the responsibility to pay the tax is going to be on the business entity. Manageable till here? Yes. Acha. Then after that they have given 2 specific clarificatory points here. First one, if there are any accommodation services supplied by Air Force Mess or any similar messes to its personnel. Air Force, now Air Force also comes under government only, right? It comes under central government. So Air Force Mess provides accommodation, stay services to its own personnel, so that will be exempted from GST because it is also services provided by government only. And next one, services provided by state government. Okay, state government is providing insurance services to its employees, to police forces, to police employees, to the employees of the electricity department, etc. Okay, services provided by state government, insurance services provided by state government uh, to its employees, etc. This is also a service provided by government, so even this will be totally exempted from GST, because this is also not provided to business entity, so it will not be taxable, it will be totally exempt. Okay, this was told under which entry? This was told under entry number 6. Now entry number 7. Entry number 7 is going to talk about services provided by government to business entity. Okay, just now what did we study? Any services provided by government to business entity will be taxable, and that too under reverse charge mechanism. But now see what are they telling? Any services provided by government to a we will call it as a small business entity. Okay, any services provided by government to a small business entity. Ma'am, what do you mean by a small business entity? Small business entity was any such entity whose last year, preceding financial year's turnover is up to such amount as makes it eligible for exemption from registration. Means its last year turnover did not exceed the threshold limit for registration. If government is providing services to such small business entity, then in such a case, this service is going to be exempted. Okay, means if government is providing, what if government is providing to a big business entity? Then it will be taxable for the big business entity under reverse charge mechanism. But if it is providing to small business entity, then it is going to be exempted from tax. But here they have given us that this point will not apply. This will not apply to A, B, C of entry number 6 above. Means it will not apply to those three, that is services by Department of Post or by Ministry of Railways. Then if it is provided in relation to aircraft or vessel, or if it is provided in relation to transportation of goods or passengers, if these are provided to any particular person, it will be always taxable under forward charge. Okay, similarly, if these three services are provided to small business entity also, then also it will be taxable under forward charge mechanism. And next, this point is also not applicable to services by renting of immovable property. Means if government is providing services of immovable property to a small business entity, okay, renting of immovable property to a small business entity, then also it is not going to be exempted, then it is going to be taxable. And we had already studied it earlier that if we are providing renting of immovable property services to any registered person, we had studied it under RCM chapter, renting of immovable property provided to any registered person, that will be totally taxable, and that too under reverse charge mechanism, because we are again shifting the responsibility on the registered person. Okay, so now let's try to summarize this. Can we say these point ABC means Department of Post or Ministry of Railways, then any services in relation to aircraft or vessel, or any services in relation to transportation of goods or passengers. If it is provided to any person, be it small business entity, be it big business entity, by the government, then it will be always taxable, and that too it will be taxable under forward charge. Those three always taxable under forward charge. Okay, apart from that, if there is any other service, okay, if it is provided to big business entity, so it will be taxable under reverse charge. If it is provided to small business entity, then it will be exempted as per entry number 7. Right? And then renting of immovable property, just now we studied renting of immovable property. If it is done to a business entity, registered business entity, then RCM will be applicable, so taxable under reverse charge mechanism. But if it is given to a small business entity, then it will be taxable but under forward charge mechanism, because the small business entity, as per last year's turnover, it was not required to get itself registered, so we are not shifting the responsibility to the small business entity. The responsibility is going to be on the supplier itself. Okay, just remember one thing, renting of immovable property is always taxable. Okay, if large business entity is there, it will be taxable under RCM. If small business entity is there, it will be taxable under forward charge mechanism. Then ABC, first three services always taxable, that too under forward charge. Okay, and any other services given to large entities, taxable, we will not leave them, taxable under RCM. Small business entity, it will be exempt. Are you clear with this? Yes, this was your entry number 6 and entry number 7. Now let's go to the next entry, that is entry number 8, entry number 9. Let's try to understand about entry number 8, entry number 9. Then we are going to have 9C and 9D also. Okay, let's do it one by one. First, let's do entry number 8 and 9. Entry number 8 is talking about intergovernmental services, that is any services provided by central government, state government, union territory or local authority to another central government, state government, or let's say state government is providing to central government, one state government is providing to another state government, one union territory is providing to state government, so on and so forth. Intergovernmental services will be totally exempted except for first 3 points of entry number C. Entry number 6, that is Department of Post, Ministry of Railways, those 3 always taxable, okay, and that too under forward charge. Apart from that, intergovernmental services will be totally exempted. Then entry number 9 is talking about, this is a very blank exemption that they have given, any services provided by central government, state government, union territory, means any services provided by government to any particular person, where the consideration does not exceed 5,000. Means they are telling this is a very small service provided by the government, why to make it taxable? But they are telling this point. Okay, so if government is providing these services to any particular person where the consideration is up to rupees 5,000, then this service is going to be totally exempt. Government says no forward charge, no reverse charge, nothing doing. Okay, but again, exception is going to be point A, B, C, Ministry of Department of Post, Ministry of Railway Services in relation to aircraft or vessel or transportation of goods and passengers. Those 3 always taxable, nothing doing. Are you clear with this? And if it is a continuous service which is provided by government to any such particular person, if it is a continuous service, ठीक है, मतलब जो काफी लंबे टाइम तक चलने ही वाला है, then we have to check 5,000 in a financial year. If the consideration does not exceed 5,000 in a financial year, then the exemption will be available. Okay. Then after that, if government entity, okay, if government entity is also where majority stake is of the government only, definition is given in your main notes. If government entity is providing any services to the government, and for that the government is giving some consideration which is in form of grants or donation, then even this grants or donation will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, next point, very important, entry number 9D, which talks about old age home, okay, which is there for abandoned parents, abandoned senior citizens, etc. Old age home, if it is run by the government or if it is run by any charitable trust or institution, and they are providing this service to the people who are staying there and whose age is more than or equal to 60 years. Okay, if the age is more than or equal to 60 years, if this old age home services is provided by central government, state government or any charitable trust or institution, and if these people are required to, obviously for staying there they will have to pay the consideration. If the consideration does not exceed rupees 25,000 per month per member, that is for stay also, that is for food, etc. also, if the consideration does not exceed 25,000 rupees per member per month, then this service is also going to be totally exempted from GST. Okay, old age home services provided by government or provided by any charitable trust or institution, right? Then after that, going to the next one, that is entry number 24C. Entry number 24C talks about if the services are provided by Department of Post. Just now we studied that come what may, be whatever be the amount. Okay, any services provided by Department of Post will be taxable, and that too under forward charge. But they have given a small exception that if the services are by way of postcard, inland letter, book post and ordinary post, four pointers here: postcard, inland letter, book post and ordinary post, where the weight of the consignment is less than 10 grams. Okay, weight is less than 10 grams, and they are telling that consideration will also be very nominal. So let's make GST also exempt on the same. Speed post services, registered post services are not exempted, that is fully taxable. Then after that, going to the next one, entry number 47, again services provided by government for, if we want to take a registration under any law for the timing in force, then we have to pay the registration charges. Or if we want to take any fire license, or if we want to get some certification done, or if we want to get the safety certificate from the government charges fees for the same. On that fees, GST is going to be totally exempted. Okay, that is given here. Till here, your entry number 47 is totally done. Then going on to the next one, that is entry number 30, 31, 31A, 31B. Okay, these 4 entries are altogether related to each other. Entry number 30 is talking about any services provided by ESIC. Okay, ESIC takes contribution from us, it accumulates the amount and then it later pays if something happens to us. So any services, ESIC is also belonging to the central government, is also belonging to the government only. So any services provided by ESIC is totally exempted from GST. Similarly, services provided by EPFO, Provident Fund Organization, even that is totally exempt from GST. Any services provided by coal mines Provident Fund Organization, which is specifically applicable for the employees of coal mines, even that is totally exempted from GST. Then any services provided by NPS, very famous nowadays, any services provided by NPS to its members for which they charge some administrative fees, even these services will be totally exempted from GST. I hope I am very clear till here. Yes. Then after that, any services by way of providing information under RTI Act. Services by way of providing information. Now let's say if I want to get any information, any public information, I can go and make an application to the RTI, right to information. RTI will take fees from me. On that fees, GST will be totally exempted. RTI is also an organization under government only. Okay, then any services provided by governmental authority. Okay, any services provided by governmental authority, which services which were actually the functions of municipality or which were actually the functions of the panchayat, cleanliness, road development, transport development, etc. So any services provided by governmental authority of those functions which were originally entrusted to municipality or panchayat will also be totally exempted from GST. Okay, relating to this one point we had studied in the second chapter also, any services provided by central government, state government, union territory or local authority of these services which were given to municipality or panchayat, that was neither considered as supply of goods or services. There the services was provided by government. Here the services are provided by governmental authority. So they are telling it was taxable, but now they have provided exemption. Okay, example, MMRDA, Mumbai Metropolitan Development Authority, then your Delhi Development Authority, etc. Okay, these are nothing but the governmental authority and they are doing the functions on behalf of municipality and panchayat. So while doing the functions by Delhi Development Authority, etc., they will charge some consideration that will be totally exempted from GST. Then government provides us passport, visa, driving license, birth certificate, death certificate for which they charge fees from us. Even that is totally exempted from GST. Then any services provided by government by way of tolerating an act. Let's say government gave us some contract and government told us initially itself that if you violate the terms and conditions or if you do not finish this particular contract, you will have to pay us some penalty. Okay, and now we violated the terms and conditions. So can we say we are liable to pay the penalty to the government? On that penalty, okay, on that penalty, fines, liquidated damages, etc., GST is going to be totally exempted. Here the government is providing us the services of tolerating non-performance of a contract, etc. On such damages, on such fines, etc., GST will be totally exempt. Right? Then after that, going to the next one, entry number 65, which says that suppose if I want to get my container unloaded, okay, my container is lying at the customs port, my imported goods are lying at the customs port and I want to get it cleared after the office hours. Let's say Saturday I want to get it cleared, Sunday I want to get it cleared when the customs employees, etc., are anyway on leave. But still, if urgently if you want to get them cleared, then you can pay something called as merchant overtime charges to the customs department and you can get your consignment cleared. So on these merchant overtime charges, GST is totally exempted. I hope I am clear till here. Yes, then going on to the next one, that is entry number 65B, which is a very different point. Okay, before going to entry number 65B, let's complete the last 3 points of services provided by government. Entry number 34A, important. Let's say if government is providing guarantee services, okay, bank guarantee services to its undertakings, that is to government undertakings or to public sector undertakings. Means these government undertakings or PSUs have taken a loan from a bank or a financial institution, but they wanted someone to stand as a guarantor. So government itself came and stood as guarantor, for which the government is charging some guarantee fees from this government undertakings or from these PSUs, then it will be totally, the GST on the guarantee commission or guarantee fees will be totally exempted. Okay, bank has given loan to whom? Bank has given loan to the PSUs, or bank has given loan to the government undertakings, but bank also wants some guarantor. So bank asked this PSUs that who will be the guarantor. So this PSU said that government is going to be the guarantor. So who is taking the risk? Government is taking the risk. If government is taking the risk, for that the government is going to charge some commission from its PSU. On that commission, GST is totally exempted. Okay, then entry number 25 and entry number 59. Entry number 25 talks about distribution, transmission or distribution of electricity. Only distribution of electricity from one place to another, or from one point to another point, from one office to another, only that is exempted from GST. Okay, let's say if you go to electricity department and you say that you want to set up a new meter, or if you want to shift a meter from one place to another, or if you want copies of the old electricity bills, etc., for that charges are applicable on, and on that charges GST is also applicable. So what I mean to say here is, only which service is exempt from GST? Transmission or distribution of electricity is going to be exempted from GST. And the last entry, that is entry number 59, which talks about services by a foreign diplomatic mission. Okay, services by a foreign diplomatic mission located here in India. If there is a foreign embassy here in India which is providing visa to the students, visa to any travelers, etc., foreign diplomatic mission, foreign embassy which is located here in India. We have got US embassy also, we have got UK embassy also. Many different countries embassy is located here in India. If they are providing any services to us, okay, they are providing any services to us, then they are not GST registered, so they are not going to collect any GST on the same. Right, and now going on to the last entry, that is entry number 65B. What is entry number 65B talking about? Entry number 65B talks about services supplied by state government. Okay, let's say state government has given us, okay, let's say state government has given us the right to use some natural resources for doing some mining. Okay, I want to do the mining for maybe mineral oil, natural gas, oil, etc. So I cannot start doing mining anywhere. So I will have to contact the state government. State government will give me the right, for which central state government is going to ask for some royalty. Okay, state government has given me the right to use the natural resources, and I will have to compensate the state government by paying some royalty. Okay, now listen, for this, what does the state government does is, state government is going to appoint a person called as ERCC, excess royalty collection contractor, and this ERCC is going to collect the royalty from me. Means I will pay the royalty to the ERCC, and then ERCC will pass it on to the state government. Means first I got the right from the state government, for which I am required to pay the royalty, but royalty I will first pay to the ERCC, and then ERCC will pass it on to the state government. Okay, so I will change this diagram itself. I will change this diagram. Okay, state government gave me the right to do the mining, for which I have to pay the royalty to the ERCC, and ERCC will pass on the royalty to the state government. Okay, now can we say this is nothing but a service which is provided by state government to me? Okay, if this is and I am a business entity, obviously if I am doing mining, I am definitely a business entity. So can we say this is nothing but a service which is provided by state government to a business entity? Yes. So can we say on this service I am required to pay the tax on RCM? Under RCM that we just now studied in the earlier point itself. So when whatever amount of royalty I am paying, okay, whatever amount of royalty I am paying to the ERCC and then to the state government, on that I will be required to pay, the tax under reverse charge mechanism. This point we have already studied earlier. Okay, now see what are they telling? State government and ERCC will enter into a contract for a fixed royalty. That is, state government will say that I want a fixed royalty of 100 crore rupees. Okay, ERCC will say that, okay sir, I will take it from this particular person and I will give it to you. I will make sure that at least 100 crore reaches you. Now let's say I did the mining, and as per the calculations, I paid a royalty of 120 crore to the ERCC. So what will the ERCC, and I also paid tax on this 120 crore under reverse charge mechanism. Okay, so now ERCC will keep 20 crore with itself and it will pass 100 crore to the state government. Now, can you tell me again, when ERCC is paying to the state government this 100 crore, on that taxes payable or taxes not payable? Taxes not payable, because already I have paid the tax. Already the business entity has paid the tax on the entire 120 crore. Okay. Alternatively, let's say I could pay a royalty of only 80 crore rupees to the ERCC as per the calculation. Okay, but government wants how much? Government wants 100 crore. So now ERCC will have to pay 20 crore from its pocket to the state government. Okay, I paid 80 crore to the ERCC, and plus I would have also paid tax on this 80 crore. Okay, so now when ERCC pays this balance 20 crore, ERCC pays this balance 20 crore to the state government, at that time ERCC will also be required to pay tax on this 20 crore. So basically what they are trying to say, if the business entity has already paid the tax on whatever amount, on that amount again tax is not payable, tax will be exempted. Only on the difference amount, on whatever amount the tax was not paid to the government, on that amount ERCC will be required to pay the tax. I hope I am very clear till here. Yes. Then going on to the next one, that is services provided to government. Okay, previously we did services provided by government. Here we are doing services provided to government. Mainly initially these 2 points are coming up here. Then we have got a few clarifications. Let's see what are these pointers. Entry number 3 is pure services. Pure services is nothing but 100% labor services, means no goods are involved. Pure labor services provided to government. Okay, let's say we have provided some services. Okay, it is not a works contract service, because in works contract service goods are also involved. Okay, government appointed us for doing some labor services on behalf of the government. For which services? For those services which were actually entrusted to panchayat or municipality. Remember, government was doing some work on behalf of panchayat and municipality, which was neither considered as supply of goods and supply of services. Now government appointed, outsourced this work to me, and government told me that these labor services have to be done by you. Means I am providing 100% labor services to the government, for which the government is going to give me the consideration. And if it is 100% labor services, then it is going to be totally exempt from GST. Okay, let's say government said that we need to do cleaning of a particular beach. Okay, government said that all the equipments for cleaning we will provide, but you just have to bring labor, you just have to bring people for cleaning it. Means I am providing 100% labor service, on that GST will be totally exempted. Okay, and similarly for entry number 3A, they are telling that if I am providing goods plus services, means composite supply of goods plus services to the government. Above one was 100% labor, this one is composite of goods and services, where the composition of goods is maximum 25% and balancing is going to be service. Means major portion that I am providing to the government is in the form of service only, and only 25% of the total value belongs to the goods. And in that case, whatever consideration the government pays me, okay, whatever consideration the government pays me, that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, example. Now, for which services the government will appoint me? Any services which were actually entrusted to panchayat or municipality. Let's say government tells me that you have to repair the street lights. Okay, maintaining the street light was the responsibility of panchayat or municipality. Government tells me that you have to maintain the street lights, and if there are any bulbs or any lights which are damaged, you have to repair that also. You have to bring new lights also. So there, I means, can we say I am providing bulbs, I am providing the goods also, plus I am doing the repairing also, plus I am doing the cleaning, plus I am doing the repairs of those lights also. Means I am providing goods plus services, but the value of goods should not exceed 25%. Then such service provided by us to the government will be totally exempted from GST. Okay. Now here there are 3 clarifications that they have given. Now let's say government is providing us free ambulance services. Okay, under public health. Okay, under National Health Mission, government is providing us free ambulance services. So here anyway there will be no GST, because this is free services. But can we say government will also have to take this service from some service provider? Some hospital or some ambulance provider, the government will also have to take this service. So again, if this is a 100% labor service, okay, if this is a 100% labor service, it will be exempted under entry number 3. But if that provider has provided goods plus services, means the ambulance has provided medical equipments plus ambulance to the government, where the value of goods does not exceed 25%, then it will be exempted under entry number 3A. Similarly, miling of wheat into flour, gehu into atta, or paddy into rice. Okay, if these activities are done, let's say government is going to give these flour or rice to the general public under public distribution system, but government will also get it done from someone, na? So if someone is providing 100% labor services to the government, then it will be exempted under entry number 3. Okay, if someone is providing goods plus services to the government, let's say let's say the government gave wheat, okay, whole wheat, government gave whole wheat to the service provider and told the service provider, can you do miling, into flour, or can you convert paddy into rice for the same? Then in such a case, and if the service provider is adding some minerals, is adding some vitamins into it, means it is also providing goods plus it is also providing the service of miling, so it will be exempted under entry number 3A. Okay, and can we say these services, be it ambulance services or be it food distribution services, this comes under the responsibility of panchayat or municipality. And the last one, see what is the last one? Let's say if there are some sanitation and conservancy services supplied to army and other central and state government department. Okay, now sanitation services are also included in the responsibility of panchayats, municipality and panchayat if these services are provided to Indian Army or any other government department or government ministry in the same manner as local authority does it for the general public, then the same will be exempted either under entry number 3. Okay, either under, if this is 100% labor services, then under entry number 3. If it has some goods also supplied along, then it will be exempted under entry number 3A. Right? So basically, see, if we are providing any services, okay, if we are providing, I'll highlight this with different color, if we are providing any services to the government and government is later providing it to the public because it was the responsibility entrusted to panchayat or municipality, then when we are providing the services to the government, if it is 100% labor services, it will be exempted under entry number 3. If it is includes goods plus services, maximum 25% goods, then it will be exempted under entry number 3A. Okay, then going on to the next one, that is entry number 3B, that is services provided to a governmental authority. If we are providing any services, above we are providing services to the government, now if we are providing it to the governmental authority, Delhi Development Authority, etc., by way of, we are providing, see, governmental authority will provide it to the general public, but for that governmental authority takes some services in relation to water supply, public health, sanitation and conservancy services, solid waste management and slum improvement and upgradation services. If governmental authority is taking the services from us and then providing it to the public, then these services will be totally exempted from GST. This was a new point. Okay, earlier when we were providing such services to the government, then it was exempted if it is either falls under entry number 3 or entry number 3A. But now if we are providing the same services to the government authority, then it will be totally exempted from GST. Right? Then going on to the next one, that is entry number 40. Entry number 40 says that any services provided. Okay, if we are providing, if insurance company, let's say insurance company is providing any insurance services to the government for which the government is going to pay the premium. Okay, insurance company providing services to us is taxable, but insurance company providing services to the government is totally exempted from GST. Right? Then services provided. Let's say there is an airline company. Okay, airline company is providing services to the central government, for which central government is paying some amount called as subsidy to the airline company. Okay, let's say government wants to start airline in some small city. Okay, where it wants to start the public transport, where it wants to start the transportation by way of air, but since the public is very less or the travelers are very less, so it was not feasible for the airline company to provide it at a normal cost. So government said that okay, some cost we will bear and some cost you recover it from the passengers. So airline company, can we say it is providing service to the central government of starting the airline from that small port, from that small airport, for which the government is going to pay something called as subsidy to the airline company. On this subsidy, GST is going to be totally exempted. Airline company is going to get some money from the government, and some money it can collect it from the passengers. So whatever portion it is going to get from the government, this is generally there for the first 3 years when the operation starts. Whatever amount it is collecting from the government, that will be totally exempted from GST. Right? Then after that, going to the next one, that is entry number 11A. What does entry number 11A talks about? Now there are some ration shops, there are some fair price shops from where you can show your ration card and you can get the goods at a very lower form. Okay, so can we say fair price shops are providing services to the government, right? And government provides the service to the general public. Okay, now fair price shop gives the products at a very discounted price, for which they get some margin, for which they get some commission from the government. GST is going to be totally exempted on this margin or the commission. Right? Then after that, next two entries we can do it together. One is entry number 48 and the next one is entry number 44. Entry number 48 talks about what? Entry number 48 talks about if there are any services provided by TBI or which is provided by STEP or which is provided by NSTEDB, okay, or bio incubators or Department of Biology, etc. If any services are provided by these entities or these institutions, okay, now who are these incubators? Incubators are the persons who provide research help, okay, who provides research help, who provide technology help to the new startups. Okay, if there is a new startup or if there is a person who is trying to research something new or who is trying to find out something new, so they can go and take the help from TBI, that is Technology Business Incubator, Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Park, recognized by the National Science Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, or bio incubators who are recognized by the BIRAC. Okay, if they are providing any taxable services, see, they are also providing help to the other person, from whom they are going to charge some consideration. They are also providing help of doing research, or they are also providing some findings to the new startups. So they are also going to get some consideration, and on that consideration GST is totally exempted. So here basically, if you want, you can write any services provided by incubators. Okay, any services provided by incubators will be totally exempted from GST. And next they are telling any services provided by incubatee. Okay, incubatee is someone who is registered with the incubators, who were taking help from the incubators. Incubatee is nothing but your new startup. Okay, if startups are taking efforts and they are trying to find out something new, and further they are helping some companies. Okay, let's say there is an incubator. Incubator is a person who is having all the setup. It is having a proper laboratory, it is having a proper testing place, etc. They are going to provide the services to the incubatee. Okay, incubatee is a person who is going to actually do the research. Okay, after doing the research, let's say they will provide the services to some pharma companies, they will provide the services to defense companies, etc. So first of all, any services provided by incubator, that is fully exempt. Any services provided by incubatee is conditionally exempted. Okay, what is the condition? Let's try to understand that. Services provided by incubatee up to a total turnover, only till the time the total turnover is 50 lakhs in a financial year, subject to the following conditions, namely the total turnover has not exceeded 50 lakhs during the preceding financial year and 3 years have not elapsed from the date of entering into an agreement as incubatee. So basically the exemption is available only for the first 3 years. Okay, provided your turnover in the preceding financial has not exceeded 50 lakh rupees. If all these conditions are fulfilled, then in the current year, up to your turnover of 50 lakhs, okay, up to a turnover of 50 lakhs, GST will be exempted. On the balance amount, GST will be applicable, provided two conditions are fulfilled. First, you are there under the first 3 years only, and second, your preceding financial year turnover did not exceed rupees 50 lakhs. If it has exceeded rupees 50 lakhs, then current year, no exemption. Okay, incubator, no condition, full exemption. Incubatee, exemption is available, but it is a conditional exemption. Then going on to the next entry, that is entry number 22. Entry number 22, partially we have done it in educational services. This was talking about services by giving on hire. Remember, bus driver uncle taking a bus on hire, then providing it to educational institution, and then educational institution providing it to its students, faculty, staff, etc. Yes, so services by way of giving on hire. If any particular person is giving a motor vehicle, okay, if any particular person is giving a motor vehicle to a state transport undertaking, not to a government, but only to a state transport undertaking, that is the one who is running state transport buses. Okay, state transport undertaking gives us the facility, but if state transport undertaking does not have its own vehicle, it can take it on hire. On this hire charges, GST is exempted, provided this motor vehicle has a capacity to carry more than 12 passengers. Similarly, if anyone has given on hire to a local authority a EV vehicle, electronically operated vehicle, which is meant to carry more than 12 passengers. Okay, above it was we had given any motor vehicle to a state transport undertaking on hire. Here we are giving it to a local authority, a EV vehicle on hire. Okay, then the GST on this hiring charges will be totally exempted. Giving on hire also means renting of vehicle. We are giving on hire or we are giving any vehicle on rent. Okay, or if we are giving any vehicle on hire to a GTA, okay, we are giving it on hire to a GTA and GTA is going to use it for transportation of goods. Okay, it is going to use for transportation of goods, and this C point we had already covered here. If we are giving any motor vehicle to a company who is going to give the further services to the educational institution for transportation of students, faculty or staff, then even this hiring services will be totally exempted. Are you clear with this? Please be clear with the name. Here we had given it on hire to a state transport undertaking. Second point, we gave it to a local authority. Third point, we gave it to a goods transport agency. And fourth point, we gave it to such a person who is providing further transportation facility to the educational institution. I hope I'm clear till here, everyone. Yes? Okay. Then after that, this was all about services provided to government. In this, the most important one was pure labor services to government, composite supply of goods or services, 25% goods plus services to the government. That was important. Amendment point will be important. Governmental authority. We are providing services to governmental authority. That is important. Incubator, incubatee, you can definitely remember. Yes, and yes, this point, entry number 22A. Entry number 22A, that is giving of motor vehicle on hire to a state transport undertaking. Many a times question have been tested on this also. Are we clear till here, everyone? Yes. Then let's go to the next service, that is your construction service. Only 2 entries here, very, very simple. First entry is talking about housing scheme, housing for all. Any particular construction done. Okay, it can be a new construction, it can be repairs, it can be renovation, it can be alteration of the original structure also. Any such services which are provided by way of pure labor contract, that is 100% labor, means we have just provided labor services for a house construction or enhancement under Housing for All Mission or Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Government had come up with this particular scheme, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or Housing for All Mission. Under that, if we are providing 100% labor services to any particular builder who is making a building or who is redeveloping a building or who is renovating a building under these schemes, then if we are providing 100% labor services to the builder, then these services will be totally, these 100% labor services will be totally exempted from GST, provided it is 100% labor and under this scheme only. Right? And similarly, if we are providing 100% labor contract, okay, if we are providing a pure labor contract for construction, erection, commissioning or installation of original work, this is very, very crucial. That is, you are not doing renovation, alteration, you are creating a new building, and that too there it is a single residential out. It is not exactly a building where only a single family is going to stay. It is a single residential unit. Otherwise, it is not a complex. Okay, it is a single bungalow type of a thing. Someone wants to get it constructed and someone has appointed you to provide 100% labor services. Means cement, steel, etc. will be provided by the owner. You are required there only for doing 100% labor services. So this is going to be totally exempted from GST. Okay, let's say I am the person who knows how to construct, and I am providing 100% labor services for a new house, new individual standalone house, that will be totally exempted from GST, right? Then after that, going to the next one, that is passenger transportation services. Okay, passenger transportation services. After this, the next service that we are going to have, that is going to be your goods transportation service. So please have a clarity regarding the same. Okay, in this passenger transportation service, we have just got two entries. It is very, very simple. First one, in case of passenger transportation service, first let's talk about air travel. Okay, normally air travel is fully taxable. Okay, but if there is any air travel, if you are doing in economy class, not in business class, not in first class, if you are doing in economy class and your travel is going to start, your travel is going to start from the airports which are located in Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Sikkim, Tripura, or at Bagdogra, which is located in West Bengal. Either your journey is going to start from here, or your journey is going to end at these airports. Let's say it is Mumbai to Assam, or let's say it is or Mumbai to Guwahati, okay, which is there in Assam, or Mumbai to Bagdogra, or Bangalore to Bagdogra. If your journey is going to be, or Bagdogra to Bangalore, or Bagdogra to Delhi, etc. Means if your journey is going to start or end at those specific airports in economic class, then GST is totally exempted. Okay, in air travel, the GST is exempted. Otherwise, in air travel, other places, air travel is fully taxable. Then similarly, if the transportation of passengers is done by non-AC, okay, non-AC contract carriage, that is any carriage which you have taken under a contract, okay, but it should not be a radio taxi. It should not be a radio taxi, because the radio taxis goes under e-commerce operator under section 9(5). There the tax is 100% payable for transportation of passengers, which is not for tourism. Okay, it is for travel, it is for proper travel, maybe for some personal use or for some business use, but it is not for tourism, conducted tour, charter or hire. Okay, so it should be a non-AC contract carriage other than for tourism, that is totally exempted from GST. Similarly, non-AC stage carriage. Okay, non-AC stage carriage, if we have if the transportation of passengers is done through this non-AC stage carriage is just like your public transport. Okay, public transport, where it can be where not only known people are sitting together, unknown people will get in at a particular stop, they will get down at a particular stop, etc. So if it is a non-AC contract carriage or a non-AC stage carriage and air travel in economy class starting or ending in those specific airports, then this will be totally exempted from GST. But if these services, okay, this non-AC contract carriage or non-AC stage carriage, if these services are provided through an e-commerce operator, then it will be fully taxable under section 9(5), and eco will be liable to pay the tax on the same, right? Then similarly, let's go to the next entry, that is entry number 17. Entry number 17 again talks about transportation of passengers. Okay, transportation of passengers, if it is done by railways, okay, AC and first class is always taxable. Please remember this. Okay, AC and first class is always taxable. Other than AC or first class, other than AC and first class, it will be fully exempted. Okay, then metro, mono, tramways, metro, monorail, tramway, always exempted. Inland waterways, from one ghat to another ghat, or similarly, okay, from one through lake, if the travel is done, or through river if the travel is done, then it will be fully, by ship, by vessel, by boat, etc., it will be fully exempted. Then after that, public transport other than predominantly for tourism purpose. Okay, let's say in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, from one island to another island, you compulsorily have to you compulsorily have to you compulsorily have to travel by ship only, right? So that is not for tourism purpose. People travel from one place to another for work also. So even that is going to be totally exempted from GST. And metered cabs or auto rickshaw, metered cabs, etc., including e-rickshaw, even this, if we are traveling by this, then also it is going to be exempted. Okay, but again, if these services are provided through e-commerce operator, then GST will be applicable, right? And yes, for this D point, they have given a note. What is the note given? They had given other than predominantly for tourism purpose. Now let's see, if there is a ship which is going from one island to if there is a ship which is going from one island to another island, okay, which is not for tourism purpose, okay, which is not for tourism purpose, but I am using it for tourism purpose, doesn't matter. Okay, for what purpose you are using, that is irrelevant. You have to check the purpose of the ship. Okay, if I use the word cruise, then cruise normally means it is for tourism only, so GST will always come. Okay, but if there is a normal ferry, daily ferries is there at this time, which picks up passengers at this place and drops the passengers at the other place, so that is not predominantly for tourism purpose, so that will be taxable, that will be accepted, right? Okay. Chalo, let's go to the next type of service, that is your goods transportation service. Before this, we discussed about passenger transportation service, where travel by air, non-AC stage carriage, non-AC contract carriage, metro, mono, railways, etc., inland waterways, etc., that was considered. Now we are talking about goods transportation services. Okay, goods transportation, any services provided by government. Try to recollect any services provided by government in relation to transportation of goods or passengers. That was always taxable, and that was taxable under forward charge. Okay, now here, any goods transportation service, let's try to understand this. Now, if transportation of goods is done by road, okay, any transportation of goods, if it is done by road, except if we have taken the services of GTA and courier agency. Okay, as of now, what they have told is, if we are taking the services of GTA or courier agency, then it is going to be taxable. If by any other mode, if we are doing the transportation of goods by road, let's say we are just transporting it by way of a porter services, by way of a non-GTA services, who is not going to issue us a consignment note. I hope you all recollect GTA, Goods Transport Agency, is such a person who, if takes our goods, he will issue us a document called as consignment note. Then only that person will be called as a Goods Transport Agency. If we are providing the transportation of goods services by any person other than Goods Transport Agency, then it will be totally exempted if it is done by road. And again, if it is done by inland waterways, from one island to another, from one place to another, by way of vessel, etc., then also it is going to be exempted. Okay, just remember this much: goods transportation by road and goods transportation by inland waterways is always exempted, but GTA and courier agency service is always taxable, right? Then going on to the next entry, that is transportation by railways or vessel. Okay, transportation of goods by railways or vessel from one place in India to another place in India of some specific items, like relief materials for natural calamities, defense materials, newspapers, magazines, agricultural produce, milk, salt, food grain, organic manure, etc. If these goods are transported from one place to another by railways or by vessel, then it will be always exempted only for specific goods. Okay, similarly, satellite launch services provided by such companies like your ISRO, Antariksh Corporation, etc., even that is totally exempted from GST. Then payment of toll charges, payment of overloading charges, double toll charges if you do not have FASTag, etc., even that is transportation, right? Even that will be totally exempted from GST. And services by granting national permit, you must have seen behind the trucks, etc., it is a national permit, that is the truck can travel all over India. So for that national permit, we have to take it from the Ministry of Transport. So even the fees that we paid for taking this national permit, even that will be totally exempted from GST, right? Now, within that, now they have spoken about GTA service also. Services provided by GTA. Okay, GTA, what we saw was GTA and courier agency is always taxable. But if GTA is providing transportation of specific goods, same specific goods, relief material, defense material, equipments, newspapers, magazines, milk, food grains, manure, organic manure, etc., etc. Again, if specific goods are transported by GTA, by railways or by vessel, it will be totally exempted from GST, right? Then after that, going on to the next two entries, that is entry number 21A and entry number 21B, last two entries under your GTA. See, courier agency providing any service is always taxable. GTA also we studied, it is going to be always taxable, but we are studying certain exceptions. One exception we saw that if specific items are transported by GTA from one place to another, then it is going to be fully exempted. Acha, another thing, if GTA, try to recollect from the RCM chapter, if GTA is providing services to those 7 specific persons, it will be always taxable under RCM. Okay, if GTA is providing services to other than 7 people, then always remember it is going to be fully exempted. Remember, unregistered individual, unregistered CTP, etc., then it is going to be exempted. If provided to those 7 people, factory, cooperative society, partnership firm, whether registered, unregistered, etc., then it was taxable under RCM. If it is provided to other than 7, then it is going to be fully exempted from GST. And if GTA is providing the services to the government, remember, department of government, establishment of government, government agency, which has taken registration only for the purpose of deducting TDS, then also it is going to be totally exempted. Do you recollect this? Yes. So when it is provided to other than 7 people, and when it is provided to government who has got itself registered only for the purpose of TDS, then it is going to be exempted. So in GTA there are 3 exemptions. Okay, in GTA there are 3 exemptions. If GTA is providing transportation of specific items, then it will be exempted. If GTA is providing services to other than 7 people, then it will be exempted. If GTA is providing services to the government, where the government was registered only for the purpose of deducting TDS, then it is going to be exempted. I hope I am clear till here. Yes. Okay. So this was all about your transportation of goods services, where always remember specific items. Okay. Specific items transported by whom? Specific items transported by railways, specific items transported by vessel, and specific items transported by GTA is always going to be exempted. Right? Chalo. Then after that, let's go to the next one, that is renting of immovable property related services. I don't know if you recollect, we had just done in government related services also. Renting of immovable property provided by government to a registered business entity will be taxable under RCM, and if it is provided to small business entity, then it is going to be, then what was the scenario? Then it will be taxable. I told you renting is always taxable, then it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Okay, now here they are not only talking about given by government, they are normally talking if renting of immovable property, if it is rented to a registered person. Okay, if we have given it to a registered person for commercial use, definitely it should be taxable. And since we have given it to a registered person, let's shift the burden to the registered person, and it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Right? Now, if you have given it to a registered person for residential use, where it is not going to use for its own purpose, but maybe you have given it to a registered person where they are going to use it for their employees for residential purpose, etc., means where they are going to claim it as a business expenditure, then also it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Ma'am, why again reverse charge mechanism? Because you have given it on rent to a registered person, so the burden is shifting on the registered person. Now, if you have given it to a registered person, but that registered person is using it in his own personal capacity for his own self-residence, then it is going to be exempted from GST. So basically, if you have given it for commercial use directly or indirectly, okay, if you have given it for commercial use directly or indirectly, then it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. But if you have given it for personal use, then it will be exempted from GST. Okay, next, if you have rented it to an unregistered person, if given for business use, definitely taxable, but it will be taxable under forward charge mechanism, because the person to whom you have rented is an unregistered person. If you have given it to an unregistered person for any other purpose, be it for employees or be it for own use, then they are telling that let's make it totally exempted from GST. Yes, so always remember, commercial use always taxable. Okay, given to registered person, RCM will be applicable. Given to unregistered person, FCM is going to be applicable. right? Then let's go to the next service. Next service is talking about your leasing services. Leasing services, entry number 41, which talks about, let's say we have, let's say, state government or industrial development corporations or undertaking where at least 20%, where more than or equal to 20% ownership belongs to the government. If they have given some industrial units, okay, or if they have given any industrial plots for development, okay, they have given, means government was having a piece of land, industrial land, and they have given it for industrial plots for development or for units, or for developing industrial units to the developers. Means you set up some industry here, or you make an infrastructure and set up some business units here. We have given our plot of land to the developers for developing some industry there. For that, they are giving us some lump sum amount, some rental, some premium, etc., and we have given them on lease. Okay, we have given them on long-term lease, which is going to be for more than or equal to 30 years. Example, area belonging to the industrial development corporations, right? Just like in Maharashtra, we have got MIDC. In Rajasthan, we have got RICO, RIICO, and different states have got different industrial corporations. So if industrial corporations have their own piece of land and they are giving it to the developers, that you please develop factories here so that we can, this area will be called as an industrial area, etc. For that, the government is going to get the lump sum rentals that will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, along with this rental, if they are getting some charges called as preferential location charges, means if this plot of land is situated in a prime area, they will charge something called as preferential location charges. Even that will come along with the rent only, and even that will be exempted from GST, right? Then going on to the next service, that is your banking and financial services. Banking and financial services, very simple but important. Okay, now here they are telling that mainly two services are exempted from GST. First one is if banks are providing any services by way of extending LAD, loans, advances or deposits, for which the bank is going to get the consideration which is going to be in the form of interest or discount. Okay, bank gives loan for which the bank gets interest, bank does discounting, etc., for which the bank gets discount. On this interest or discount, GST is always exempted. We have done this while studying our composition scheme also, right? But one interest is always taxable, that is interest involved in credit card services. If there is a delay in payment of a credit card bill, a good amount of interest is levied on that. GST is applicable. They say luxury item, right? And the next one is if there is any sale or purchase of forex. Okay, if there is any sale or purchase of forex amongst banks or authorized dealer or foreign exchange or amongst bank and such dealers, means only if this dealing is between banks and banks, or if this dealing is between banks or dealers and dealers to dealers, then only whatever is the commission amount in between at the time of sale or purchase, on that GST is going to be exempt. Okay, so first one was any income which is in the form of, or any service where we get the income in the form of interest or discount, that will be exempted. And second one, any transaction of dealing in foreign currency between banks or between dealers or between banks and dealers will be totally exempted from GST. Yes, and then I have summarized and I have tried to make a list. Okay, I have tried to make a list which items will be your taxable items and which items will be your exempt items. So in taxable items, let's say minimum balance charges, minimum balance that we have to maintain in our accounts. If we don't maintain, they levy the charges for that. That is fully taxable because that is not in the form of interest. Okay, similarly, credit card interest totally liable to GST. Processing fees charged by the bank, transaction charges charged by the bank, always liable to GST because that is not interest. Okay, that is not interest. Similarly, card settlement between two banks, card settlement charges between two banks, fully liable to GST. Any service charges, broking charges, admin charges, processing fees, transaction fees, entry charges, anything which is not interest. Okay, anything which is not interest, that is also not exempt from GST and that will be liable for GST, right? Then after that, going to the next one, that is exempt items. What items will be exempted from GST? So now if there is anything that we have paid to the bank which is in the form of interest, that is delayed payment charges, etc., that is in the form of interest. So if it is in the form of interest, that is for time value of money, if the bank is collecting any amount, that will be exempted from GST. Okay, similarly, if the bank has given us some loan, or if the bank has issued some debentures, bonds, etc., on which the bank is charging any interest, even that will be exempted from GST. Then FD, saving bank interest that the bank pays to us, on that also it is exempted from GST. OD, loan facility, CC facility, credit limit, cash credit facility, etc., on that also interest is applicable, and even that will be exempted from GST, because everything there is in the form of interest, right? Then after that, going to the next one, that is entry number 27A. Let's say if we have opened a bank account under a scheme called as Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Okay, and under this scheme we have opened a bank account, and bank is providing us any services. Okay, bank is providing us any services. Let's say bank is issuing us some checkbook, passbook, debit card, etc. For that, if the bank is levying any charges, on that charges GST will be totally exempted. Okay, on those charges GST will be totally exempted. Then similarly entry number 34. Yes, entry number 34 is important. Now let's say whenever we go for any shopping, etc., okay, when we go to the counter for billing, we provide any of our credit card, debit card, etc., can we say we use a particular bank's card? Okay, and the bank account of the shopkeeper can be with some other bank also, right? So there is an intermediary in between, that is, there is a payment gateway who deducts the payment from our bank and credits the payment to the other person. So if the transaction value is up to rupees 2000, okay, if the transaction value is up to rupees 2000, and if we have done the payment to credit card, debit card, etc., then on this particular transaction there will be transaction charges, right? There will be transaction charges. Let's say I go to Pantaloons for shopping, okay, and I pay through Union Bank of India credit card, for example. Okay, then can we say there will be a payment gateway in between who will credit this 2000 rupees to the Pantaloons bank account? Now that intermediary will charge some transaction charges. Either it is taken from the customer or it is taken from Pantaloons. Okay, nowadays generally it is borne by the shopkeepers only. So when they bear these transaction charges, if the particular transaction value was up to rupees 2000, then there will be no GST on the transaction charges. Okay, there will be no GST on the transaction charges, but if the swipe amount is more than rupees 2000, then GST will be applicable on the transaction charges. Similarly, government has under this Digital India mission, government has started promoting RuPay debit cards, and government has started promoting UPI transactions, etc. So now government has told to that intermediary. Okay, what has the government told to that intermediary? That if any customer is making the payment through RuPay debit cards or through Bhim UPI transaction, please don't collect any transaction charges. Then middleman told that, sir, how is it possible? Like Razor Pay is there, then your Simple is there, Simple Money is there, then your CC Avenue, if you have heard. Okay, these are your intermediaries. Okay, or Paytm Money, these are also your intermediary. Bill Desk. Okay, now they told that, sir, how is it possible for us to work if we don't collect any processing charges? So government said that don't worry, we will provide you subsidy, but if the customer is making the payment through RuPay debit cards or Bhim UPI, please don't charge any transaction charges from the customer also, as well as from the merchant also, as well as from Pantaloons also. Okay, we will compensate you, means government is going to compensate to the intermediary, and government is going to pay them some subsidy. On that subsidy also GST is not applicable, right? Then after that, do you recollect in our reverse charge mechanism chapter we had studied something about business correspondent and business facilitator? Yes, there we had studied about if business facilitator is providing any service to the banking company, okay, then reverse charge mechanism will be applicable. An agent of business correspondent is providing any service to business correspondent. In these two cases, reverse charge mechanism was applicable. Means can we say this transaction, if taxable, it will be taxable under RCM. Now see, they have given you some exemptions in regards to the same. Services by the following persons will be exempted. Now, business facilitator or business correspondent is providing any services to banking company For its rural area branch, only for its rural area branch, it will be exempted. Okay, BF, business facilitator, who was helping to take some strategic decisions, or business correspondent, if they are providing any service to the banking company for rural area branch, then the service will be totally exempted. So can we say if BF is providing service to the banking company in relation to urban branches, branch, then it will be taxable under RCM. Okay, see, whatever is exempt here is exempt. Whatever is not exempt here, then we have to think whether it will be taxable under RCM or it will be taxable under FCM. Okay, then similarly, any agent of BF providing service to BF, or any agent of BC providing service to BC, again for rural area, that will be totally exempt from GST. So here can we say this was anyway, earlier we thought it was taxable, but now they are telling it is exempted. An agent of BC providing service to BC, we had studied this is taxable under RCM. So if it is relating to rural, let's make it exempt. If it is pertaining to urban, okay, if it is pertaining to urban, then let's make it taxable under reverse charge mechanism. And last one, BF or BC is providing services instead of banking company, if they are providing services to insurance company for their rural area office, then this will also be totally exempted. Okay, so basically BF, BC providing services to the bank, BF, BC providing services to the insurance company, or agents providing services to BF or BC, again for rural, only these will be exempted. Rest will be taxable. Out of the rest which are becoming taxable, some will be taxable under RCM, some will be taxable under FC. Yes, if you do the question bank, you will get the questions on that, which we have done in the class also. Then after that, going to the next one, entry number 39A, services by an intermediary of financial services located in a multi-services SEZ with IFSC status to a customer located outside India. Okay, let's say there is someone who is situated in IFSC and that person is providing any services to a customer who is located outside India. Can we say we are going to take charges from that person for providing the services? Okay, we cannot collect GST from outside India. You can export your services, but you cannot export GST. So this will be totally exempted from GST. Right? Then after that, going to the next one. Next one is talking about insurance business service and pension related services. This you have to do it on your own. I'm reading it quickly. Okay, because your name of different schemes are given, which you have to read it twice so that it gets fit in your mind. Okay, now listen. First of all, any services of life insurance business. Okay, any services of life insurance business provided by way of annuity under the NPS regulated by the PFRDA under the PFRDA Act. Okay, let's say under your PFRDA Act. Let's say under your PFRDA Act, they are providing some services to a customer relating to life insurance. Okay, means as of now, you have to keep on paying premium, and then if someone passes away, that policy holder passes away, then his family members will get some annuity. So this premium will be totally exempted from GST. Okay, provided it is a life insurance business provided by way of annuity under the NPS. Okay, LIC taken under NPS, life insurance business taken under NPS. Then similarly, life insurance business provided or agreed to be provided by the Army, Naval and Air Force group funds. Okay, basically these Army, Navy or Air Force group funds, they provide the insurance to the members of Army, Navy, etc. For them also, on the premium, GST will be totally exempted. Then Naval Group Insurance Fund is providing services to the personnel of Coast Guard who are serving on our coastal areas, etc. Okay, in the coast. If we are providing any insurance services to them, so we are going to charge premium for them. On that premium, GST will be totally exempted. Similarly, Central Armed Police Forces, which are going to provide the insurance service to the police, on that GST will be on the premium, GST will be totally exempted. Okay, then similarly, entry number 35 and entry number 36. Entry 36 talks about life insurance business. Entry 35 talks about general insurance, means anything other than life insurance. Now, services of life insurance business provided under Janashri Bima Yojana, Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana, life micro insurance product up to a maximum cover of 2 lakh. वरिष्ठ पेंशन बीमा योजना, प्रधानमंत्री जीवन ज्योति बीमा योजना, प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना, प्रधानमंत्री वय वंदन योजना. If we are taking any of these schemes of the government and we are paying the premium, on that premium GST will be exempted, right? And general insurance is anything other than life. It can be accident insurance, personal accident insurance, it can be house insurance, it can be car insurance, etc. Okay, so now these schemes, if we have taken insurance under these schemes, hut insurance scheme, cattle insurance under Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana, scheme for insurance of tribals, Janta personal accident, so on and so forth. And see the names they have given here. Yes, restructured weather-based crop insurance, Jan Arogya, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, which is relating to agriculture, crop, seed crop insurance, cattle insurance, universal health insurance, Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, coconut palm insurance scheme, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Nirmaya health insurance, Bangla Sashya Bima, etc. If you have taken any of such schemes and you have tried to insure yourself, so you are required to pay the premium. On that premium, GST will be totally exempted. And similarly, if you have done reinsurance under any of the above scheme, means your insurance company is not able to bear that risk, so you took the help of some bigger insurance company. On there also, if you are paying any premium, on that also GST will be totally exempted. Then any collection, any services by way of collection under contribution under Atal Pension Yojana. Today you will do the contribution under Atal Pension Yojana, and then after some number of years you will get the amount back in form of equity. On this contribution also GST is exempted. And similarly, any pension, if you have done the contribution under any pension scheme of central government says that now when you are working, keep on depositing the money so that after your retirement we will give the money back to you. Right, so on that also GST is going to be totally exempted. So insurance services, please read it once. Okay, please read it once, and that much will be sufficient. Then let's go to the next point. Check what is the next point talking about. Right to admission to various events. This is also very, very important. If you are taking any entry to any museum, any national park, any wildlife sanctuary, any tiger reserve or any zoo, okay, whatever be the entrance fee, there will be no GST applicable on the same. Similarly, if you are going and visiting any protected monument, archaeological site, Taj Mahal kind of a place, etc., where they are charging any entry fee, on that entry fee there will be no GST applicable. Okay, then after that, check the next one. Next one is a little important. If you are going and taking entry for any circus, or you're going for any dance show, or you're going for any theatrical performance including drama or ballet, or if you're going for any award function, or if you're going for any concert, music concert, etc., or for pageant, that is your fashion show, or if you're going for any musical performance or any sport event other than recognized sporting event and even recognized sporting event. So both, any kind of sporting event you are going, or you're going to any planetarium. Okay, in Mumbai, like we have Nehru Planetarium in Worli, etc. If you are going there, okay, if you are going there, and if you're paying any entry fee, if the entry fee is not more than 500 rupees per person, means it is up to 500 rupees per person, then there will be no GST applicable on the same. If it exceeds rupees 500 per person, then GST will be applicable. I hope I am clear till here, everyone. Yes, so for the first two, entry number 79 and entry number 79A, no threshold limit was there. For entry number 81, they are telling if the ticket price is up to 500. Okay, if the ticket price is up to 500, then in that case, no GST. If it exceeds 500, then GST will become applicable. Okay, do you recollect here they had given something about recognized sports event? So here they have just given the meaning, which event will be called as a recognized sports event. I'll just give an overview of the same. First of all, recognized sporting event means any sporting event which is organized by a recognized sports body. Ma'am, what do you mean by recognized sports body? So that is given here. Okay, so any event organized by recognized sports body, or any event organized by these 5 people. Any event organized by these 5 people. Okay, then that will be considered as what? Then it will be considered as a recognized sports event. Okay, just read that once, that much will be sufficient. Then going on to the next entry is talking about services by unincorporated body or a non-profit entity, etc. Okay, now let's say if there is any unincorporated body or if there is any non-profit entity which is working on behalf of its members, okay, which is working on behalf of its members and it is collecting some charges from them for its functioning, then that will be exempted from GST. Okay, as a trade union or for carrying out any activity, then that will be exempted from responsibility of GST. But in case of housing society, okay, this point is super duper important. But in case of housing society, where in housing society is made with a combination of all the members, so we require maintenance of the housing society, for which contribution maintenance is paid by the members only. If the maintenance is up to 7,500 per month per member, okay, if the maintenance is up to 7,500 per month per member, then there will be no GST applicable. If it exceeds 7,500 per member, then yes, GST will be payable, provided this society is a registered society. How will we come to know if this is registered under GST? If its aggregate turnover exceeds the threshold limit for registration. Okay, so see how they have given. If there is a resident welfare association or a housing society, okay, if it is if its turnover is more than the threshold limit for registration, so can we say here it will be called as a registered entity? And if its monthly membership charge, maintenance charges are more than 7,500 per member, then yes, GST will be payable. If the maintenance is less than 7,500, then GST is not payable. But if the entity itself is not registered, means its turnover does not exceed the threshold limit for registration, then whatever be the maintenance charges, GST is not at all payable. Yes, and yes, whenever you are calculating the 7,500 limit, in that 7,500 statutory dues are not included. Okay, like property taxes, electricity charges, which the society will collect from us and pay it to the government, that will not be included in the 7,500. In the 7,500, purely the maintenance will be included, right? Okay, then after that, going to the next one, that is entry number 77A. Okay, very simple. Entry number 77A is if there are any such services which are provided by any unincorporated body or non-profit entity which is engaged in welfare of industrial labor, agricultural labor or farmers, like farmers association, farmers organization, industry organizations, etc., where they provide membership to their members. Okay, let's say there is a cloth merchant association. Okay, who will come and sit in this cloth merchant association? All the shopkeepers who are dealing with cloth, they will come and sit in this association. They will represent to the government about the GST rates, about the income tax rates, etc. So this association will take membership fee from its members. If the membership fee is up to 1,000 rupees per member per year, then there will be no GST applicable on the same. Okay, can we say association is providing the services to its members? So members will be required to pay some membership fee. If that is up to 1,000 rupees per member per year, then GST will be totally exempted. Right? And then going on to the last service, that is your miscellaneous service, entry number 45. Okay, entry number 45, which talks about legal services. Now, in legal services, very nice conclusion we have written here in our summary notes. If there are any legal services provided by arbitral tribunal, arbitrator, okay, middleman outside the court settlement, arbitral tribunal or partnership firm or a firm of advocates or a senior advocate. Okay, if these people are providing any services to any person other than business entity, that is to an individual person, etc., or to a small business entity. How do we say small business entity? Whose last year turnover did not exceed the threshold limit for registration, or if it has been provided to government authority or government entity. If these people has provided services to any of these people, then it will be totally exempted from GST. Means if it is providing legal services only to a large business entity, okay, only to a large business entity, then only it will be taxable, and that too we had studied. Then in that case it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. We had studied this in RCM point also. Legal services provided by any of these people to a registered business entity will be liable under RCM. So these services provided to any other person will be totally exempted from GST, right? And then see what are they telling. Legal services provided by a firm of advocates, individuals as an advocate other than senior advocate to another advocate. Inter advocate service. One advocate is providing services to another advocate or to another firm of advocates. That is also totally exempted from GST. Just like your intergovernmental services, here they have told you about inter advocate services or inter firm legal services. Right? Then after that, sponsorship of sports event. Sponsorship of sports event. In RCM, we had studied about sponsorship activities, reverse charge mechanism. Sponsorship services provided by any person to a body corporate or a partnership firm will be liable to tax under RCM. Now here they are telling, if we are doing sponsorship of any sports event which is organized by those 5 people only, means sponsorship of recognized sporting activities, then that will be totally exempted from GST. Means whatever amount we are going to get in the form of sponsorship money, on that we are not going to collect any GST. Okay, then services by way of public conveniences like toilets, public toilets, urinals, bathrooms, etc. On that also GST is totally exempted. Okay, next point, very very important, performance by an artist. Okay, if there is any particular artist who is performing in folk or classical art forms, okay, any particular person who is performing in classical or folk art forms of music, dance or theatre, okay, classical music, folk music, classical dance, folk dance, or any theatrical performance, but that should be in the form of folk or classical art forms only, not in Bollywood, Western, etc. No. So that performer, if it is getting not more than 1,50,000, okay, the consideration that the performer will get, if that is not more than 1,50,000 rupees, then it will be exempted from GST. If it exceeds rupees 1,50,000, then the entire amount will be liable for GST. Okay, please remember this, folk dance or classical, right? And but if such artist is providing its services as a brand ambassador, okay, if such artist is providing any services as a brand ambassador, means it is not coming and performing as a performer but as a brand ambassador, then that whatever amount it gets, it will be fully taxable. Okay, brand ambassador, always remember, if I'm getting anything as a brand ambassador of any particular product or any particular services, then it will be fully taxable, right? Then if I'm transferring a going concern, okay, if I'm transferring a business as it is by not giving individual value to the assets and to the liabilities, I'm transferring my business as it is and I'm taking a lump sum consideration, on that also GST is totally exempted. Okay, then if I am providing the services of collecting the news and providing the news, okay, if I am providing the services of I'm collecting the news, ground reality, I'm collecting the news and providing the news, if this is done by an individual journalist, Press Trust of India or United News of India, can we say by distributing the news they are going to get the consideration? That will be totally exempted from GST, right? But let's say on some TV show, etc., we call some guest anchors, okay, we call some celebrity so that the TRP of our show goes up, etc. If they get some honorarium and if they are registered under GST, okay, that guest anchor, they will get some honorarium, they will get some money for coming and speaking on our show. If they are registered person under GST, then this amount is going to be liable for GST. Okay, so whatever honorarium they get as guest anchors will be taxable under GST. Then public libraries provide the service of lending the books, magazines, etc., for which they collect the nominal charges. Even that will be exempted from GST, right? Then after that, if we are taking help from any organizer for a business exhibition which is going to be held outside India, okay, there is a business exhibition which is going to be held outside India, I want to put my stall there, I want to attend that exhibition, so I contact an organizer. Okay, if I contact an organizer, he will charge some consideration from me. Okay, whatever consideration he charges from me, on that GST will be totally exempted, provided the business exhibition is totally held outside India, right? And then the last two entries coming up here, entry number 68. Entry number 68, if we are providing any services to recognize sports body. Okay, till now we were talking about any sponsorship services, any sporting event organized by recognized sports event, sports body, etc. Then that was totally exempted from GST. Now let's say if there is an individual player, Okay, cricketer, for example, a referee, umpire, coach, or a team manager, only these 5 people, they are providing their services to a recognized sports body. Okay, they are providing their services to a recognized sports body. A player provides the services to the sports body, he plays for the team, and then he gets the consideration. Okay, only player, referee, umpire, coach, and team manager. So whatever consideration they get, it is going to be exempted from GST. This is an important pointer. And any services provided to a recognized sports body by another recognized sports body. One sports body is providing services to another sports, inter sports body services, then even that will be exempted from GST. Okay, you have got repeated questions from your commentators providing the service, etc. Selector providing the services, that will be fully taxable. Okay, only these 5 people, if they are providing the service, only then it will be exempted from GST. Yes, then after that, let's say if there is a tour operator. Okay, let's say there is a tour operator who is providing a service to a foreign tourist. Okay, there is a tour operator who is providing a service to a foreign tourist for a tour which is going to be done outside India. Okay, let's say tour operator is situated here in India. Foreign tourist was actually belonging to USA, and he wanted to do a trip to Sri Lanka. Okay, for that he is taking help of a tour operator here in India. So can we say this foreign tourist will have to pay consideration to the tour operator? On this, GST is going to be totally exempted. Why? Because the tour is going to be held totally outside India. Are you clear till here? Yes, these were your exemptions. These were your general exemptions of services. Okay, goods was a very small part, that atta, maida, besan, etc. There the goods got completed. After that, whatever points got started, that was all relating to what? That was all relating to your service. I hope this much is manageable. Yes, this is the lengthy chapter. Please do it in parts. Yes, so that it becomes very simple for you. And yes, this is such a chapter which will require cumulative revision. Okay, 2 to 3 times if you do, that much you have to do. This chapter will require that much of efforts you will have to do. If you do, it will be super simple. Yes.